All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trading Capital's live stream. Today is currently November 24th, and it is a half day. Just keep in mind it is a half day on the indices. The markets will be closing at 1 p.m. So, what can we expect if it's a half day? Well, maybe a little bit of increased volatility. Now, it's typically, historically, on holidays, the markets do end up closing positive, but right now we have the VIX green, we have yields green, the dollar's down 19 cents, trading at 103.55, potentially triggering a head and shoulders on the 1 hour chart, or the 10-minute chart. Cautious because if you're in shorts, then the market can rally against us. Especially, I'm anticipating a lighter volume session this morning, being the fact that it's that November kind of long weekend. Markets were closed yesterday. So I don't expect the volume to be crazy unless there's any political or announcements or geopolitical events that take place. But nevertheless, let's look at the dollar. What I'm watching, potential head and shoulders on the hourly chart, bigger downside move. If this triggers, you can see that it pierced it and got whipped back up on the hourly chart. Then you pierce it again, and now you're slowly starting to climb in. So often when you see this type of price action luring people in on the short side of the dollar, market makers like to reverse it. So we do have some data later in the, I think around the 10-11 a.m. time frame. We did have core retail sales from Canada, which came out stronger than expected, popped the Canadian yields. But at 9:45, NVDA down 0.6% in the pre-market. Apple's negative, Tesla's negative. So you have weakness in the Qs. Even Microsoft is negative. The QQQ is actually negative on the session. The SPY is positive. The Russell's negative. The indices are substantially off of their lows in the pre-market, but being the fact that the Russell and the Qs are negative, those are where we're going to look for shorts. I want to see a break of some of the pre-market lows on these names in order for me to get interested on the short side. Apple still has I believe a pretty big downside move coming to about that gap fill zone. I think that the markets still need to breathe and consolidate, but at this point in time, we just have to take a candle by candle. So I'm looking at shorts on this market. I like the fact that NVIDIA is seeing continued weakness off of that earnings report. So look for that name to potentially flounder a little bit and maybe fail. I am looking at AVGO on the short side, so keep that name on your radar, AVGO. We'll keep that on the radar. I'm looking at shorts on the Qs, shorts on NVIDIA, shorts on Microsoft, maybe Tesla. We'll just have to watch Tesla closely. But definitely weakness across the board in the indices right now. And we'll see if they can start to gain some traction and momentum or if we start selling off in the morning. So let's wait for a kind of a reaction, a general reaction in the market before we take some trades. It's a Friday. No one likes to lose on these trading sessions. I am seeing NVIDIA basically seeing a little bit more weakness. Really, I'm just going to flip back to the pre-market. Regular trading. You can Q, which is sitting at around 389.60. All right, markets are open. Qs are bouncing off that pre-market low. We are seeing some selling creeping into the markets right now, but you have the Russell trying to bounce. Russell's stuck in a little bit of a wedge pattern. All right, Qs are breaking pre-market low, so it's now a short. The Qs are officially a short trade. All right, I'm taking AVGO on the short side. So watch AVGO. NVIDIA getting rejected off that pre-market high, so is Tesla. Apple's breaking pre-market low, so Apple's a short at pre-market low. Microsoft is looking weak as well. Markets are trying to bounce. Russell's seeing some strength. Potentially Bitcoin weaken. Oh, SPY's getting a big bounce here. The SPY is getting a big bounce. QQQ still under pre-market low. QQQ SPY's bouncing off of pre-market low. Dollar's seeing some weakness. Bitcoin potentially triggering a little mini intraday head and shoulders. Potential. It is below the neckline right now, but it's still got about 10 minutes on the candle to close. Qs are bouncing, trying to recover that pre-market low. Still finding some harsh rejection though. SPY is getting a big bid here. The SPY is getting a big bid. All right, I'm gonna short the QQQ 389.61. 389.61. Short the Qs 389.61. We are short the Qs at 389.61. That just tapped pre-market low. So we'll see if we get rejected there. NVIDIA's back above, trying to squeak out some positive gains. All right, I'm covering Mara here for a 2-cent gain at 11.11. Covered Mara 11.11, just because I am seeing Bitcoin negate that head and shoulders potential. I am 390.11. We just added to our QQQ short at 390.11. So our average now is 389.85. That's slowly going against us right now. Still seeing weakness in some of the semi names, but AMD is starting to rip higher. NVIDIA's back to the green side. Dollar's starting to falter a little bit. Natural gas looks interesting for a long here. Next ad level on the Qs is if we test this high range pivot zone. Let me just put my average here. 389.86. 389.86 is our average. Next short zone is if we get up to here. Whoops, my apologies. Semiconductor diverging from triggering a head and shoulders. So that one's also looking like a short here. AVGO, I'm going to pick up some shorts here at 967.81. It's a starter position, 1/4. 1/4 position. It is. So Apple's starting to weaken. It's below its pre-market high, breaking pre-market low. So Apple being weak is certainly never a good sign for the market. Microsoft's bounced, had a pretty tremendous bounce, but Apple's breaking that pre-market low. So Apple's actually looking like a decent short setup. So we're short the Qs and we're short AVGO right now. I do anticipate more downside in this market. NVIDIA's back above its pre-market high, so that's actually a long trade. But again, with the heaviest weighting semiconductor weak, it actually could, believe it or not, overpower NVIDIA's price action in the market because it has such a heavy weighting on the SMH. So just be mindful of that. The IWM is looking exceptionally weak, so TNA is a short. IWM is testing its pre-market lows. QQQ, we're now in the money on that trade. Let's see what else we get here. Tesla is looking like some sellers are starting to emerge, but Apple's now getting a bounce. Decent bounce off of the lows. AVG and weakness in AVGO. We'll see if that semiconductor firm. All right, QQQs, we're in the money. Let's see if we lose pre-market lows on the Qs here. If we lose pre-market lows, which are around 389.61, this market's probably going to sell. NVIDIA's getting rejected slightly at its pre-market highs. All right, SPY is trying to bounce here. Qs are testing its pre-market low. I'm going to put a break-even stop loss on our QQQ. So we now have a break-even stop loss. And I think the Qs should eventually fill this gap, but It should be today. I really would be surprised if it isn't today. All right, AVGO still seeing some sellers, but trying to bounce again. Break even stop loss on the Qs there. The dollar is triggering a potential head and shoulders. Apple being rejected, so we're seeing the dollar. Hard rejection on Apple. This is why the Qs are falling. Hard rejection on Apple. Apple's coming up into some little bit of support right now. Triggering a neckline. Apple's hitting a trend line, an upsloping trend line. On the 30-minute chart, I'm going to cover my Qs here. 389.36. Covered the Qs at 389.36 for a nice little gain. Just covered the Qs at 389.36. Okay. 389.36. We covered the Qs. All right. Nat gas looks like a long trade setup. So NVDA is getting rejected at pre-market high still. Apple's trying to break lower. Finding some buyers in the near term. All right, I'm going to go long nat gas here. 1/4 position there. Apple's still weak. Tesla's on the short side. We're seeing strength in Eli Lilly, weakness in Amazon. Holding up. Monster is holding up. So a lot of some of the defensive names are holding up here. So S pre-market low. So is the Russell, and so are the Qs are actually below. So again, weakness in tech. So QQQ are the short. All right, I'm going to short Microsoft. I'm going to look at Microsoft. 377.25, short Microsoft. 377.25, we're short Microsoft. It's a 1/4 position as well. Still holding this AVGO, which we're slightly out of the money. 968. Qs are still struggling. Qs are still being rejected at their pre-market low. So therefore, tech is still a potential short at these levels. I'm going to add to AVGO if we push up to about 972. Okay. We have a lowercase h pattern on Microsoft, but the dollar's falling here. The dollar is falling. So let's take a look at GDX, because GDX might be a long trade here based off of the dollar weakness. Qs are still selling off of the dollar weakness. Very interesting. Gold is above 2,000. The Russell's getting a nice bid here, back above pre-market high on the IWM. All right, big dump coming in on the Qs. Dollar. All right, I'm going to go long GDX 29.29, 29.29. I'm long GDX here. It's a 1/4 position. Long GDX, still short Mr. Softy, still short AVGO. I'm going to put a break-even stop loss on Microsoft. So our trade is at 377.25. Okay, so break-even stop on Microsoft there, team. Long GDX low. Lowercase h pattern potentially in play. We still have a gap fill on the Qs sitting around 388.41, which could get triggered. So the mega caps are still watching nat gas. We have a 1/4 entry in there. I'm still holding GDX, which is coming down just a little bit here. And And the next ad level on GDX will be about 10 cents lower at 29.19. 29.19. So SPY is holding its pre-market low. SPY is holding its pre-market low. All right, Q's coming back down. Another wave of selling is taking place. I'm now seeing weakness in Amazon starting to trigger. Manufacturing is spiking the dollar here, so that's going to weigh in on the indices. All right, so shorts, dollars recovering. I'm exiting my GDX here for a 4-cent loss. I'm exiting GDX for a 4-cent loss based off of the dollar, trying to recapture that head and shoulders move. So I just exited at 29.25 for a 4-cent loss on GDX. Manufacturing data did briefly spike the dollar. It's starting to lower it here. All right, I'm going to grab Microsoft did stop us too. Just grab some more QQQ shorts. So 389.40. SPY is testing pre-market low. NVDA is selling off some more now. So expect continued weakness. SPY is still holding that pre-market low. If you lose that pre-market low on SPY, it could be a big move coming to the downside. So NVIDIA still falling here. Microsoft's up, holding up here. The dollar is getting a decent bounce off of the lows, but still on watch for that. We're still holding our UNG, which we're slightly. All right, I'm putting a stop loss on the Q, 389.36, so 6 cents in the money. NVIDIA is still coming down. Dollar's still weakening. All right, I'm going to risk Mara short again, 11.13, high of day stop. 11.13, I'm short Mara with a high of day stop loss, so 11.26. 11.26 stop. Short Mara. MARA. Qs are about to stop us out here for a small gain. We're still holding. We're still holding. All right, the Qs did stop me out there for a small gain. Still holding my AVGO short and my Mara short. Still seeing weakness in NVIDIA. Still weakness in the QQQ indices. So Q SPY and Qs are negative, but the Russell's positive. Yields are positive, dollars negative. Seeing weakness in some individual semiconductor names, NVIDIA, AVGO, a couple of the heavyweights. But then you look at AMD. AMD is pushing higher. Nat gas is trying to push up a little bit. Mara is pushing up here. I'm going to short the SPY 454.95. So we just shorted the SPY there at 454.95. 454.95. Up here, the IWM is getting a big bid. We still have the Qs under pre-market low. Okay, Qs are still under pre-market low. Our UNG trade is now in the money nicely. Trying to get a little bit of a bid off of the lows. Watching oil here, potential inverted head and shoulders forming on oil. So therefore some of the energy trades might be wise. But we're in the money 5 cents on UNG. Let's look at our SPY and QQQ. I'm still watching Qs. If Qs push up all the way to about 389.50, we can look for another short again. Apple's weighing shorts 389.50 was just tagged. 389.50 short the Qs. It's a 1/4 position. 1/4 position. The Russell's coming up to the high of day wedge pattern. Still seeing the Dixie soften. And if the Qs go for gap fill, then you can bet that the SPY is probably going to turn back to the negative side, just with the weighting. All right, dollar is weakening, potentially triggering that head and shoulders on the hourly chart. So that's even despite the dollar falling. So we're still short AVGO, still short QQQ, still short the SPY, and we're long neck. Wow, look at this move in XOM. Stellar move. All right, the SPY is trying to move up. Let's see what else we got. We got big some movers on the day. Mare FSR. FSR might be some long trades since small caps are moving. Let's see if we can get a squeezy play. All right, QQQ, we're basically back to break even. SPY, we're slightly out of the money. Qs, we're slightly break even. FSR, move up. QQQ, we're in the money a little bit. All right, I'm going to grab some Microsoft puts here. Let's go 376 puts, 0 DTE, Microsoft, right here at 377.25. So we're back in MSFT puts, 376, 0 DTEs. SPY is still trying to move up. Dollar's still weakening quite drastically here. All right, I'm just adding to my AVGO at 972. 972 added to my AVGO. So that brings our average up to about 977. So long nat gas. Short the Qs, still short AVGO, which are in the money nicely. Trying to move higher here. It is trying to move higher. Apple seeing a little bit of a bounce. Nice move in iRobot. So now Apple's bouncing, Nvidia's bouncing, Qs are trying to push up here. SPY is still stuck in a range, a very, very tight range. I will add to the position at 455.37 on the SPY. Or 38, give or take a penny. All right, Qs are back above pre-market low. We'll see if we can get some closing action. Microsoft's pushing up some more. Hey, Liquid Fire, yes, that's correct. This is a day job, exactly. But I also have a swing trading service that's located on my website at tradingcapital.ca. But this is very, very quick movements, risking a chunk of capital for a small gain. So I'll put up my Discord. But it's good to see that you're just watching, running simulators. You can use paper trading methods. So you can just gain experience in the market, seeing how tickers move. Each individual ticker moves differently, has its own spreads. But you can find my Discord here at tradingcapital.ca, where I host a swing trading service and day trading service. But ultimately, we're just watching the Qs here. They are trying to reclaim pre-market low, so therefore there's some strength coming back into the indice. It's still negative on the session, so we have to be mindful of that. But the dollar has weakened quite substantially. The dollar is giving up a hourly chart level and breaking down. It is a pretty big breakdown on the dollar. It likely sends it down to 102.98. So what's interesting is that generally a falling dollar is positive for the markets, especially positive for mega caps, but we're not seeing that right now. We're really seeing the Qs struggle despite the strength in despite the weakness in the dollar. So something to note there, just something to pay attention to. But we do have some strength across the markets. AMD, the IWM is trying to hold positive here. Bitcoin's getting a pretty big move up here. Apple has triggered some bearish. Apple's a short if we tag around 190.20, 190.20. Still holding 0 DTEs on Microsoft. Still holding a QQQ short and an SPY short. Other than that, we have downside. Qs are really fighting. So far, they're above it on the 2-minute chart, but we haven't confirmed. Still seeing weakness in Apple. Microsoft seeing a little bit of sellers right now coming into fruition. Qs are still trying to push up. Russell's trying to make a new high of day. All right, I added to my SPY because it is trying to potentially carve out a inverted head and shoulders here. I'll show you on this chart. You can draw it like that. You're doing a little peekaboo above. So our average is sitting there on the SPY short. Still seeing AVGO coming down a little bit. If SPY gets rejected here, expect a pretty decent move. Qs are getting rejected at that pre-market low. So this is why I'm still shorting the indices, because Qs are still so weak. Pre-market low. You can see the SPY is still trying to fight here. Oil's making a move. There may be a long trade on oil, so keep that on your radar. It is potentially triggering a inverted head and shoulders. Hasn't broken the neckline yet. But I'm seeing now the QQQ struggling, still back under pre-market low, getting rejected. It's going to weigh on the SPY. This might be a failed breakout here on the SPY ETF. We will add to the trade at the next pivot zone, which is right around 455.63, and then the final add will be at this 455.89. So keep those two major pivot points on watch. And again, Qs are still selling off here, still under pre-market low, whereas the Russell's making new intraday highs. So a little bit of a divergence, definitely a divergence occurring in the market. I might be interested going long Carvana. Keep Carvana on watch here. Carvana's looking squeezy. I'm going to go long here, Carvana 31.25. 31.25 long Carvana. SPY is still trying to break out here. Carvana's pushing. IWM, new high of day there. It's still pushing up. SPY is still struggling here at this neckline. It's a very interesting spot. Roping in new longs. Bitcoin trying to move up. So again, a little bit of a divergence. QQQ still under pre-market low. I'm going to put a stop loss on Carvana is going to be 31.11. 31.11. And that's just going to be a hard stop in my opinion. All right, Qs are trying to get back above that pre-market low, but still struggling. Apple has triggered a bearish pattern, so be careful with the heaviest weighted stock. Microsoft's now coming down a little bit more here. Tesla's potentially seeing some sellers. This could be a failed breakout here on the SPY ETF. That means there's going to be a lot more downside if this pattern fails. If this inverted head and shoulders fails, Qs are back under pre-market low. Back under pre-market low. Meta's potentially putting in bearish consolidation on the 10-minute chart. That's another QQQ name that's acting actually weak today. Still down 0.5%. SPY's still holding. And again, this is all under a falling dollar. Bitcoin moving up. WTI crude moving up. Apple still selling. So you can see SPY's trying to break this neckline. All right, Carvana's moving up here. I'm with a break even. Sorry, actually, I'll put the in the money stop at 31.27. Okay, we could see this one get a little squeezy on us. It's a little bit of potential downside in this market. All right, Carvana's moving up. Let's adjust our stop loss higher on Carvana. So 31.32 stop, hard stop. We are looking squeezy on the CVNA chart here. CVNA could easily push up to about $32 before it finds resistance, and then even higher from there. You have a gap fill on Carvana all the way up to $33, 33.10, 33.12. All right, Q. This might be a failed breakout. Look at this. Look at that. Oh, baby. Fall, baby, fall. Fall, baby, fall. Look at this. All right, Carvana's in the money. QQQ, we're in the money. SPY, we're in the money. AVGO, we're in the money. Microsoft, we're flat. Nat Gas, we're basically in the money by 5 cents on our UNG trade. Let's see if this becomes a potential failure. It is a 10-minute hammer candle off that neckline. The Russell's now seeing some potential downside. Bitcoin's still strong. Just scrolling through here to see if there's any other tradable options here. Q's still heavy rejection at that pre-market low. I still have Q's going down to 388.40. Time will tell if we get there. All right, big bounce coming in the markets now. Q bottom wick, potentially trying to test that pre-market low again. Apple's still trying to make a new low of day. So as long as Apple remains weak, it's going to be very difficult for these markets to get out of their way, so to speak. AMD trending higher. SPY is trying to bounce here. SPY is bouncing. Still seeing weakness in NVIDIA down 0.9%. Microsoft turned red. Tesla's positive. AMD's positive. The semiconductors are positive as a whole, but again, you have weakness in some of the pre-market lows sitting at 389.61. 389.61 is the pre-market low. So that's your pre-market low, 389.61. Technically, everything is in bearish pattern. All right, Microsoft is starting to cooperate now. So we're now in the money slightly on our Microsoft, still holding those 0 DTE 376 puts. Apple just made a new low of day. So Apple did just make a new low of day. Oh, SPRC up 36%. Wow. All right, Q, big bounce there. Qs are making a huge bounce there. SPY is still underneath that trend line. QQQ is coming back up to test this pre-market. Look at all this action here at the pre-market low. So here you bounced. became support. Then you got wicked, had a big bounce, failure, retesting. You should head lower on the Qs. We should head lower. And again, this is all while the dollar is Microsoft. QQQ still under its pre-market low, finding rejection, so we still hold short on Microsoft. Come on, get those puts in the money. Carvana's starting to squeeze. We're nicely in the money on that. UNG is still trying to move up. Amazon just made a new low of day. Bitcoin's trying to move up some more. Again, this is a lowercase. All right, big bounce on AMD coming in. Big bounce on AMD. 76 is in the money. Come on, Microsoft, dump it. Dump it, dump it, dump it. Carvana's starting to squeeze. Look at this Carvana trade, guys. If you took this on the long side with me, wonderful. We're in the money on we're up on our Microsoft put. We are up on our Carvana trade, up on our paying the mega caps on the short side. So Microsoft's continuing to sell. I am going to move up my Carvana stop loss to about 31.36. So we're 11 cents in the money protection. You just want to see that because I'm seeing the SPY break down some more here. So 31.36. Qs are falling, going for a new low of day. Apple new low. Microsoft is testing the lows. So protect that Carvana trade. Look at this Microsoft dump coming in. Hold because I think we're going to see more downside. Come on. Come on. Come on. Qs, come on. Break that pivot. Break those pivots on the Qs. Microsoft for 48 cents from our 0DTEs being in the money. New low on Apple. Come on. Amazon selling now. SPY is heading back down to pre-market low to test it. Meta just broke its bear flag. QQQ is about to make a new low of day. Look at this sell-off coming, guys. Look at this sell-off coming. Here we go. We just need Qs or the Microsoft to hit these. I will be taking profits as soon as we hit that 376. What I'm going to do is leave. I'm going to take half the position off on Microsoft. Qs just made a new low of day. We're dumping hard here on the Qs. We're dumping hard here on the SPY. I'm going to put an in-the-money stop on the SPY trade. I'm leaving AVGO running. And I'm leaving Microsoft. I'm taking half off the position there. So again, this was because Apple's been weak all day. Come on, Nat Gas. Push up. So Microsoft's getting a decent bounce there. Q's got a decent bounce. Still have an in-the-money stop on Carvana. We have an in-the-money or Microsoft flushes down to here. That would probably be over 1,000%er. Oh, Microsoft's coming, guys. Get ready to secure profits on Microsoft. 0DTEs are almost in the money here. SPY is getting a harsh candle down. Come on, baby. Melt away. Melt away. Microsoft's 15 cents away. Come on, baby. Qs are testing the low of day. Qs are testing the low of day. I'm going to move a stop loss on the SPY to, I'm putting a stop loss at 455.10. 455.10. So it's an in the money stop on the SPY. Microsoft is almost there, 10 cents away, 12 cents away. 376 is 2 cents away from being in the money. Come on, Microsoft. Give it to us. Give it to us, Microsoft. Give it to us. Come on. We tapped that area by 1 penny. We missed our in the money puts. It's going to get there, guys. Be patient. I'm going to call it out soon. I'm holding. I'm still holding. Come on, Microsoft. Give it to us. Give it to us. Meta's still selling. There it is. 376 puts, 0DTs in the money. Please secure some profits. I'm taking half off here, leaving the rest as runners. Let's frickin' go. Come on. Even stop loss on those Microsoft puts. But if the SPY now triggers and loses this pivot, we're probably going to test this low here from Wednesday. SPY is bouncing off of pre-market low, but we're still seeing some exceptional weakness creep into play. Meta new low. Microsoft's heading lower. Apple's heading lower. This is the sell-off we have been waiting for and positioned for. If you were caught by surprise with the sell-off, then you were just being greedy, plain greedy. Within 2 weeks, and you don't take profits and start looking at whether or not that is a healthy move and a sustainable move. Casey, I'll look at BRBR in a second. I'm just managing these trades right now, but it is on my watch list. I just want to make note that I did read your comments. So a daily chart long entry at 49.90 with a stop loss at 46.13. So again, we have a stop loss on the SPY at 455.10. We are still holding put runners on Microsoft, which is a break-even stop loss after already securing half the position in the money. Which Carvana is an indirect hedge going in the market. I just love it. I absolutely love it. All right, SPY is getting a big bounce here. SPY is getting a big bounce. I'm going to move my stop loss on Carvana now to 31.42. So we're in the money nicely by about 17 cents a share, 31.42. And let's keep in mind that Microsoft and Apple are still looking exceptionally bearish and weak based off of the price action that's been unfolding all day. You have the Qs trading under pre-market low. Oh, look at Carvana. Move Carvana stop loss up to 31.50. This is a neat. I'm seeing a dollar bouncing here. The dollar is trying to bounce. QQQ is getting a big bounce here. All right, the S&P stopped us out there for a in the money trade. So nice job on that S&P trade. Bitcoin's still trying to move up. All right, we might get stopped out here on Carvana. It's testing our 4 cents away from being stopped out on Carvana. Still holding. I am seeing the SPY come down now. Dollar's getting a pretty big bounce. So now I'm going to look at some potential Coinbase and Mara shorts. Might be a little revenge trading here, but if the dollar's going to bounce, we should see Mara start to falter. All right, I'm short Mara at 11.36. 11.36. It's a 1/4 position. 11.36 short MARA. I'll pull it up on my other screen. Just give me a second. It's a 1/4 position. All right, Carvana just stopped us out there at 31.55. We potential head and shoulders on the 1-minute SPY chart. If it were to trigger that head and shoulders, let me just see here and do a little bit of calculation. SPY could see a flush down to 454, a whole dollar move. All right, Mara's trying to move up here. In bearish consolidation under the neckline for quite a while now. Still holding a UNG long, which is trying to move up now. Still holding a Mara short. Basically, the next ad level on Mara is going to be 11.53. 11.53 I'll add to MARA. And then 11.70. Qs are still faltering here a little bit. Microsoft's starting to come down. Coinbase is having a pretty big. Oh, I'm gonna get out of this trade on Mara. I'm seeing Bitcoin spike here. I'm exiting Mara here at 11.45. 11.45. I just stopped out of Mara for a loss. I'm seeing Bitcoin spike. I don't want to get caught in a quick move to the high side. Whoa, look at that coin short. There is a coin short though. It's coming up here at double top. Basically, keep coin on your radar. I just exited Mara, but I'm looking at coin for a little bit more of a push to 114.36. It's a little more extended. 13.32. Coin's into a little more resistance than Mara. I will add to coin at 114.36. Still holding an AVGO short, nat gas long. Nat gas potentially has a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders forming. So coin I'll add at 114. It may even pierce that area. Bitcoin's still trying to remain strong and move up. Qs are still coming down. SPY is still coming down. Apple's still making lows. Bitcoin's pushing up, making new highs in the trend. It's above 38,000 now. Very interesting to see the Q selling off, but Bitcoin rallying. It's almost like money's flowing out of the indices into the crypto space. Get ready to add to coin. Bitcoin's still surging. Coinbase is still trying to push up here. Bitcoin's still making a new high here. Heavy volume coming in. That's on the weak dollar. Again, Qs are testing the lows, making new lows. So you're seeing money being sucked out of tech and being thrown right into the crypto space. Typically, that doesn't end well from historically and from typical price action. Still short AVGO, still long nat gas. Holding runners on Microsoft. All right, Bitcoin's still pushing up here. There might be a short trade on BITI at the same time. It's above pre-market low, but below pre-market high. Qs are below pre-market low, so therefore shorts are favored. Bitcoin's pumping, new low trying to be forming on Apple, NVDA, Microsoft. Tesla's coming in. Meta's also weak. Q's new low. Q's just made a new low. SPY is about to trigger a potential head and shoulders. Bitcoin's still pumping. So again, it seems that Bitcoin is diverging from the QQQ indices. Typically that doesn't last, but time will tell. Maybe we're in some sort of a new regime, which is kind of hard to believe, but it could be. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of consecutive upside in the crypto market, BTC, even on the back of that horrific announcement by CZ openly admitting fraud, committing a fraud. All right, so today you have the Apple down almost 1%, NVIDIA down 1.49%, Microsoft down, Tesla still positive, AMD just turned negative. You have a little bit of strength in healthcare stocks like Lilly, UNH, so-and-so, but really the strength is coming from IWM small caps. SMH is negative on the session. AVGO, the largest weighting in the SMH, is negative. We're short coin. We are still holding Microsoft puts. We're short the SPY. We're long nat gas via UNG. Let's see what type of action it's above that 114 level. All right, I just added at 114.02, 114.02 to the coin short. 114.02. It brings the average up to 113. So I added at 114.02. All right, we're seeing the IWM trying to grind higher as well. Microsoft's getting a small bounce. So is NVIDIA. But NVIDIA's been trailing under its, probably if we connect these pivots here, I expect to retrace maybe down to this range on coin. SPY's moving up, Qs are moving up. Maybe a 10-minute topping tail on SPY or on coin here. Still holding AVGO short, still holding a UNG long, still holding a coin short. We need to see the semiconductors weaken a little bit more. Qs are still struggling. Excuse me. Qs are still way below pre-market low. Looks like they want that gap fill, in my opinion. I think the Qs want that gap fill. Bitcoin's trying to consolidate here a little bit and make another move. It is looking to try to make another move. Coin's pushing up. Still seeing weakness in Microsoft creeping in. Weakness in NVIDIA is continuing. All right, so liquid fire, what is the type of trading? What if this type of trading called? This is day trading. So day trading is basically being in a trade during the day and out that same day. A day trade can last basically 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 hours, 4 hours, but essentially it's exiting that trade by the day end and making sure your capital is not at risk in the market. So that's what day trading is. Swing trading is, time frames, say 1 day to a couple weeks to a month, couple months, but really that's kind of the precipice. And have really much experience in the markets because your entries. Coin is starting to push up again. So next entry on coin will be above 114.50. Above 114.50. We will add to the swing. Very, very decent for a swing as well. So UNG, we're in the money just by a couple cents here. We picked some at that low there, 581. Hopefully that can start to move up for us. Let's see how the SPY is starting to try to work its way up here. We're at 114.50. 114.50. So it brings the average up to 114.07. 114.07 short. AVGO is still weak. So again, until AVGO, NVIDIA, and some of the other semis firm up, I'm remaining skeptical-ish environment. But what's helping is that the Russell is above its pre-market high, and the S&P is holding above its pre-market low. So those are the kind of the safety. All right, Coinbase is getting squeezy here on us. Coinbase is getting squeezy above 115. Qs are getting rejected there. Microsoft getting rejected. Apple getting rejected. All right, coin I just added at 115.10. 115.10. Bitcoin is still moving higher. So my average on coin now is sitting at 114.56. 114.56. Up. This is now entering swing trade short territory for coin. It's very, very extended on the daily chart. Very, very extended. Bitcoin's still pumping here up to 38,377. All right, we'll do one more add entry on coin above 116. So 116 or higher. So Qs have had a nice move off of the lows. They're still under pre-market lows. SPY is trying to test its top of the range. The Russell's making higher highs here. Just made a little bit of a new high of day on the Russell. So again, final entry on coin will be above 116. Bitcoin's finding a little bit of resistance here. SPY is still stuck in a range, potentially forming a right shoulder for a head and shoulders intraday breakdown. We'll see if it comes to fruition. Qs are still under that bearish territory, pre-market lows. Bitcoin's still trying to push up. It's now up nicely on the session, 2.93%, while the indices, the Qs are negative, SPY's slightly positive. You have the VIX still green, yields are green, dollars down. Tesla's trying to have a range breakout here. Tesla looks like it has some more upside left in the tank, believe it or not. Potential doji candles forming on Coinbase here. We'll see if we can get some downside. We're going to need Bitcoin in the market to fall. SPY is now falling. Potential right shoulder curling action. We'll see if it comes to fruition. We did make a little bit of a lower high there on the SPY, which is why the indices are selling here. All right, big dump there on coin. Starting to play out here. Let's see if we can get some follow through. I'm still holding AVGO short, still holding a nat gas long. Again, remember the markets close early today. Qs are getting rejected. Coin seeing some more sellers take hold. So the Russell's pulling in off the highs while the Qs are starting to get a bounce. We're seeing Coinbase slow down here. Bitcoin is seeing a little bit of selling. We'll see if it can close back above 38,000 today, or if this was just kind of a one last little hoorah, fake out, breakout. We will see. Qs are coming in again. Still holding nat gas UNG on the long side. Still holding an AVGO short. Still holding a coin short, slightly out of the money. SPY. I'm going to take, I want to take SPY 0DTE so badly here. I do. I really do. All right, I'm just going to take, Microsoft just made a new low. I'm going to short the SPY here, 455.04. 455.04, short the SPY. Stop loss. It's going to be a hard stop on the SPY, 455.24. I'm looking for a potential head and shoulders breakdown. Let's see what we can get. Still holding this coin. Short coin is seeing some more buying momentum. The dollar's still coming in. Qs are still falling. Microsoft new low of day. So those running puts, those 0DTE puts are up nicely, continuing to run. I'm still holding. So coin made a new high, lower low on the RSI. First intraday divergence has occurred on the short-term time frames. Microsoft still selling. New lows on Microsoft. Microsoft's going to weigh in on this market. Short at 970 and basically quit the previous screen there. Let me just get you back up and running. Just bear with me, viewers here. My apologies. I quit the wrong link. Let me try to get this stream back up here. Of course, it happens during a big breakdown. I apologize, team. I apologize, but we're printing nicely on our SPY. We're printing nicely on AVGO. Coin isn't cooperating yet. Just give me a second here while I find another window. All right, just give me a second. I'm going to have to stop the stream and then restart it because it's not. I accidentally quit the wrong thing. Nope, it's cooperating now. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay, we're back in business. We are back in business. Sorry for the interruptions there. I do apologize for the little interruption. All right, so SPY, new lows on the Qs. Qs are going for gap fill. Look at this fucking dump. Yes. Let's go. Come on. Look at that dump on SPY. SPY's again triggering that little head and shoulders that we discussed. On the 2-minute chart, on the 1-minute chart, it did get a close below neckline. It's testing pre-market low. So this is a huge area for SPY. 454.80 is pre-market low. I'm actually going to mark that in. Because the Qs have been trading under pre-market low all day, if the SPY loses this, we're going to see a big move down. Microsoft's still selling. NVIDIA's still selling. Look at that pre-market low dump. All right, we're almost in the money on coin now. Here we go. Get ready. Get ready because coin could also dump if the SPY starts breaking down. We're seeing nat gas push up. AVGO's getting slaughtered. All right, I'm moving a break-even stop on AVGO. Break-even stop. SPY, I'm doing a break-even stop. Come on. So SPY is now a little bit of, actually I'll put it at 455, stop on the SPY. We are getting a big bounce here. Still short AVGO and coin. Coin is almost in the money for us now after it was running up quite substantially. Coin is starting to sell off a little bit here. Indices are getting a big bounce. Even the Russell's starting to cool off here. So the Russell's starting to falter just a tad. Just a tad. All right, Tesla's acting resilient here. So SPY is holding up. That 1 minute head and shoulders did technically get negated. All right, the SPY just stopped us out at 455 with an in the money stop. The SPY did stop us out there. I am interested in shorting it again, but it needs to go up to 455.20. So look at that big bounce on the SPY. It did stop us out in the money. And the wick came in from Microsoft and Tesla's strength and Apple. Pretty much all the mega caps bounced there. So now we can wait. Q's never got to gap fill. SPY still tagged that lower boundary. I'm interested in shorting the SPY again here at 455.08. 455.08. We're back in the SPY short. Wow, what a bounce. Stop loss on SPY is going to be a close above this pivot here, 455.26. I want to see if we can get that pre-market low test again. So now we have a flat bottom neckline basically on this head and shoulders. It's still technically there if we start to fail. But big bounces coming in the indices. And this is a 1/4 position short on the SPY, a 1/4 position short on the SPY. While we have a little second here, I'll check out your BRBR, Casey there. SPY's coming down, still holding short on AVGO. I think that one plays out nicely today on the downside. Remember, it's only a half session today, close at 1. Oof, that's a nasty little reversal starting on BRBR, Bell Ring Brands. Bell Ring Brands, consumer, beverages, non-alcoholic, market cap 6.64 billion, average volume. Okay, so we can trade this decently. I obviously have done some work on here before as seen by this channel. Still seeing SPY potentially coming down. Coin is pushing up. Bitcoin's trying to push up. Wow, what a move in this company. What a move. I can't chase this, honestly. Who asked? Was it you, Casey, that asked me about this one? Yeah, it was you, Casey. I can't chase this. This one would be more of a short, in my opinion. Very risky because it's a, look, I extended you on the weekly time frame, daily time frame. Yeah, I would consider potentially a short at this area, but it's not. Doesn't meet my specific criteria yet, but it's certainly a strong name. All right, back to the SPY here. Just flip back to the 2-minute chart. Microsoft's still trying to bounce on the 10-minute chart. Tesla's trying to make a new high of day. The Russell retested its breakout zone of its wedge pattern and is bouncing nicely. So the Russell's actually still holding up on the charts here. And what I mean by that is if we look at the IWM, it formed this wedge pattern. I'm just going to go to the 10-minute chart because you can see it clearly. The only thing that makes me somewhat skeptical about this market rally is this the weakness in the Qs. That's typically the only thing that makes me skeptical. Sorry, November 20th. Oh, sorry, this is the breakout, the wedge pattern on the Russell that I'm watching. So this high pivot, you can see that it's breaking to the range, the high side. And you can see it's broken out, retested. That's very, very positive for the IWM, small caps. Very, very positive. Qs are still under pre-market low, though the SPY is trying to bounce up here. Kind of as a hedge trade here, I'm going to go along the IWM here, 179.46, still holding short the SPY. So along the Russell, 179.46, still short the SPY. So long small cap, short SPY. Stop loss on the Russell, it's just going to be a hard stop. But if we lose that pivot zone there, we stop out of the trade. 179, a close below this 179.13. Let's look at what the SPY is doing now. It is starting to move up a little bit. Nat gas is finding some rejection, unfortunately. Qs are getting a big push. I'm just going to add to my SPY short. So this was your original top of the range. It's likely we're going to head to this top end now. So that's the next level that I'm watching. Actually, all right, so the markets are getting a big boost here. A rally across the board is coming in. We will add to our S&P short at this area, 455.30, give or take. A few pennies, preferably even if it taps the top of this range. Nat gas is trying to test our area of entry again. So that dollar's still weakening. VIX is back to the green side. Yields are still surging up on the session quite substantially. Still short AVGO, which were in the money. Still short the SPY, which were out of the money. Long the Russell 2000, which were flat. Shorting coin, which were out of the money. Still holding Microsoft puts, 0 DTEs, which we already secured beautifully in the money. And we have a break even on the remaining half, letting the runners run. See if we can get some more follow through to the downside. Looking at adding to coin above 116 for a final entry on coin. So keep coin on watch. It's 20 cents away, 18 cents away. The Russell's trying to move up again. Still under pre-market high. Sorry, it's above pre-market high. All right, I just added to coin 116.10. 116.10 on the short side of coin. It is pushing up, so now our average is sitting at 115.18. 115.18. NVDA, big move off of the lows for NVIDIA. Nat gas is trying to push up. So coin made a new high of day, but Bitcoin did not make a new high of day. SPY is pushing up some more here. So we added at 116.10. And that brings up the average to 115.19. Let's flip back to the IWM. QQQ still technically negative, SPY's positive, Russell's positive. So if the Q's turn positive, this could be a big market lift, but we'll see. Tesla's still remaining one of the strongest mega caps on the session. So it's still remaining positively strong. Still have yields. Yields are green on the day, up quite substantially. I mean, I'm seeing the dollar trying to carve out a low. Potential double bottom, higher low on the dollar. What does that mean? That means maybe we see some downside. VIX is still trying to push up a little bit here. All right, I'm seeing SPY struggling at this area, which I don't really like, to hold this Russell. So I'm going to move the Russell stop loss up, tightening it up, the risk. So 179.37. We're basically flat on our SPY trades, still holding AVGO short again. This is the heaviest semiconductor. I'm going to keep bringing this to your attention because it has not firmed up yet. It's been weak pretty much all morning. And what does that tell me? When the heaviest name in the semiconductors, it's arguably the most important semiconductor because it carries the most weight in this indice, and it has been weak all morning. So we're still here short. I'm going to put an in the money stop now on AVGO at 970.44, so we're making about 33 cents there. I am seeing the Russell potentially breaking down. All right, I'm going to exit my Russell here, break even. I'm going to exit the Russell IWM 170.46 break even. I just exited at break even, so no loss on the trade, just break even. Looking at the SPY now, SPY. Let's see if we can get some downside targets. All right, so we have NVDA down 1.13, Q's down 0.28, SPY up basically flat, Russell outperforming today, Tesla up 1.7, Microsoft down 0.6, Amazon down 0.56. So clear weakness in the Q's today. We still have AVGO short, nicely in the money on that specific trade. Coin is pushing up against us some more now without Bitcoin making new highs. We'll see if it holds though. SPY just saw a big dump there. So we're nicely in the money. I still have this head and shoulders on watch. Come on, SPY. Breach this pre-market low, and we should see a rejection. Come on. AMD is faltering a little bit more now. So we've already closed beautiful trades on Microsoft. Beautiful couple SPY and Q shorts earlier in the session. We did lose on one Coinbase earlier. We're losing on it right now. We're still in the money on AVGO. We're in the money on our current SPY trade. We closed a lovely Carvana long. We're holding UNG, which were basically flat. But it's been a tremendous morning for us yet again. So please hit the like button on our streams. Give me a follow. Check out my Discord at tradingcapital.ca, which I'll actually put up here in the chat. So I run a swing trading and day trading service. I track insider buying and selling. I post alerts to that group. I post daily analysis videos, weekly reviews, weekly sector reviews. Try to track the flow of money, what sectors are more likely to see buying or selling as we hit major resistance and support zones. All right, so Qs are now moving up again. So this was the original resistance where you tried peekabooing above and you failed. So Again, one thing I know is from these failed breakouts which occurred over here, we typically see a big move down and a new low of day. After a failed breakout, you typically see a new low of day. So this was the breakout which failed. We didn't take out the low. So I'm still remaining skeptical about this potential little rally. All right, Bitcoin's trying to move up again. Coinbase is pushing up some more, along with the whole indices. Bitcoin's trying to make another push, so is the major indices. SPY is still underneath the wedge pattern. We'll see which way it breaks. All right, SPY is trying to break out here. All right, so SPY is still struggling at this resistance trend line. Dollar's finally recapturing its little simple 7-day moving average on the 10-minute chart. QQQ potentially making a little inverted head and shoulders on the 2-minute chart. Hasn't broken the neckline yet, still under pre-market lows. So I remain skeptical. But we have a little bit of a pattern to watch. Coin is continuing to push. Bitcoin's still making lower highs while coin is making higher highs. So definitely a divergence there. Still holding our UNG long. SPY is trying to push up. All right, SPY is making a nice little push here. So we'll add to the short side. Basically, we have 3 pivot tops here. 1, 2, 3. Could correlate with this resistance trend line. So we're potentially starting to see some strength climb back into the Qs. J, we have full time frame continuity to the upside right now. We'll see though. We'll see. We still have the Qs under its pre-market low. So again, the Qs are the heaviest weighted indices. So they are still technically in bearish environment right now. And they've been weak as the dollar's been weak. So the dollar is still technically more oversold right now. So if that firms up, we could see the markets start to fall a little bit more. But you have Apple weak, which is under its pre-market low. That's had a major break of a trend line. Microsoft's still weak today. Tesla's strong. NVIDIA is weak. Again, when the bigger companies are weak, we just have to use it with a grain of salt. SPY is above its pre-market low, which is a benefit. IWM is above its pre-market low, but I'm not worried about the SPY and the IWM. The Qs are the ones that worry me there, Jay. And what I mean by that is the QQQ is still under the 389.61 area. This yellow is your pre-market low. And there is a potential bullish pattern forming on the Qs here, a little bit of an inverted intraday head and shoulders. It hasn't broke yet, but if it breaks this flat top neckline, then we could see a move to test this pre-market low. But right now it's still technically in bearish environment. That's just from my point of view. Obviously, this is what makes a market. I still see the VIX green. That did briefly go red, but I've seen the VIX green. I'm seeing yield still green, dollar red. So we will find out whether or not the market sees some upside. I'm still seeing the weakest the largest semiconductor, AVGO, in the SMH. That's weak. In terms of sectors, if I look at my list here, we have the Dow positive, broker dealers positive, which is confirming a possible uptrend change, but you have technology weak and communications. So number 1 and number 3 of the largest sectors are weak. Financials, industrials positive, energies positive, utilities positive, healthcare positive, consumer discretionary XLY is positive. But as long as tech remains in that bearish zone, you have to anticipate there could be a downdraft. Because when profit taking occurs on the Qs, it generally, the market can't sustain the pressure due to the heaviness of their market cap and weightings in many different indices and ETFs. You have to remember, our market is driven by what? ETFs, exchange traded funds. And in those exchange traded funds, often you have the likes of Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, NVIDIA, Amazon, Google, Meta. Often they weigh the heaviest in those ETFs. So therefore, when the big boys are selling the mega caps, which is what we're seeing today, slightly with the Qs down, you have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. In my opinion, what makes you think we have a full time frame continuity to the upside? Is there any potential triggers you're looking at? Is it just a falling wedge pattern that's giving you that pattern? Like, I'm curious to hear your opinion. I mean, you're looking at a falling wedge like this, I assume. Is that the falling wedge you're looking at on the Qs? If you break this little inverted head and shoulders here, you have a potential move above pre-market low to about 389.89, but you really haven't got that break yet. So we'll see. I'm just going to mark that on my chart. But yeah, I'm certainly curious as to what makes it a full upside continuity. And I drew in the falling wedge that you're looking at. We haven't triggered the high end of the range, and you can see that there's still potentially a lot of range. Usually I like it when the wedge pattern is tighter and you get to the apex of the triangle more. So if this were to say, chop all the way down here, and we still haven't even filled that gap to the downside. I have two big support levels here at 388.40, 388 even, kind of so. But we'll see. I mean, this is what makes a market, right? We could break out of this flat top neckline and have a move all the way up to 388.89. I'm watching it closely on my screens, but again, I'm seeing Tesla break down, or seeing NVIDIA start to fall. Going to wait on the semis. Bitcoin's potentially making a little bit of a lower intraday high. As the Qs and the SPY has been moving up, the Russell hasn't been able to move up. So I'm still holding short my SPY. I'm still holding short coin. We're long UNG, which are basically flat. We're short AVGO. Let's see what type of action we can get here. Remember, it is a half day. Whether or not people want to take profits into this half day or if they want to hold, time will tell. It's 11:18. Markets will be closing at 1 p.m. FYI, markets will be closing at 1 p.m. All right, I'm seeing potential bear flag triggering on Microsoft again. So you got to watch these big names. All right, so we are seeing the Qs test that neckline again. We will see if we can break out. It is a falling wedge pattern, technically speaking. Qs are now testing that breakout of that neckline right now. Dollar's also moving up. Qs are still in bearish territory under pre-market low. I'm seeing Coinbase now starting to falter. So as long as Qs are still under this pre-market low, I remain more bearish. SPY is starting to fall a little bit. Let's take a look at our coin trade. That one's slowly starting to come in. Hopefully we get a little bit of a flush down. I could see coin retracing all the way to about 112.50, especially if Bitcoin starts to fall under the market pressure. David, sorry, what is SPY? Profit potential, the ETF SPY, worth buying, you say? No, David. I'm not buying SPY. I'm actually shorting SPY right here. I'm also shorting coin. SPY long term, sure, if you're an investor, with a 10 to 20 year horizon, absolutely, it's a no-brainer to accumulate. But I think actually SPY heads a little bit lower, to be honest, in the coming weeks to months. I really do. I'm a little bit more of a pessimistic view especially after this massive rally that we had in the indices and the market. We had a huge rally in the indices. It's prudent. I actually took profit on basically all my longs. I think I'm holding 2 longs at this point in time with my members. Actually, they're not even with my members. I hold no longs with my members. Other than this day trading session, I'm holding long UNG. But I hold no longs with my members. We sold all of our longs. So just a little bit of inside information there. So SPY is still struggling at that original. This was your breakout attempt, which got rejected. I still am in the camp that you likely make lower lows after a failed breakout. You can see that SPY is testing that same area again, just a little bit of a lower high on the chart. QQQ is acting a little bit more firmly now, but still has not broken out of that flat bottom neckline there for it to trigger that impulse move to the upside. All right, Coinbase is now starting to falter a little bit, so that's good for that trade. I'd like to see that one fall pretty precipitously and sharply. Coin on a swing trade. This is also a swing trade level, so I may actually hold my day trade on coin overnight. It's super, super risky. None of this is financial advice. But if you look at the daily chart on coin, you're into a nice double top. Bitcoin's making negative divergences. And just, whoops, let me erase some of these fib levels. But you can see you've pierced this double top on coin. And look at this extension move. I mean, whew, that is insane. Way overbought. Overbought can get more overbought, but you're way overbought on the chart. You're basically into the same RSI pivot zone on coin. Just want to see this move here. So that was a $67 move. And this is a $46 move, okay, roughly. So we're almost in the money on our coin short. Still shorting the SPY, which we're in the money nicely. But I want more. I want more downside. Let's take a look at the SPY here. Qs are still fighting that neckline. I am seeing the dollar starting to move up. So this is what we have to pay attention to. I've been warning you about the dollar. The dollar's been weak all day, and the indices have still been selling off. Now you have the dollar putting in a lower high, trying to break out of this bearish consolidation range. So it's interesting to see the dollar tapping this bearish range here, the top of it, trying to break out intraday and move a little bit. And then you're trying to see, oh, look at Nat Gas. Our Nat Gas trade is starting to move here. And then you're seeing the QQQ also tapping that high end of the range. But if the dollar breaks out, the Qs are going to sell. All right, so UNG is cooperating nicely here right at that open. We went long UNG, and you can see the actual natural gas pattern that I'm trading intraday. Let me just pull that chart up. Just bear with me really quickly here. Just want to flip back. So coin is moving lower now. Coin is now falling from the highs. It's still up on the session, 5.57%. Imagine coin goes negative. So look at this beautiful intraday inverted head and shoulders on Nat Gas. This is a thing of beauty. I love these patterns. So you have this nice right shoulder. You have your head, sorry, left shoulder, your head, big right shoulder. Your neckline would be really from this high pivot I like to use. And you can draw it from here, or this is probably the more appropriate neckline. And then you draw your upside measured move, which takes us roughly to about back to $3. So that would be a nice move on our UNG trade if we can get this sustained break to the upside. We're looking at about a 1.5% move on UNG. So very, very interesting to watch there. Pay close attention to Nat Gas. All right, let's flip back to the SPY. Dollar finding some resistance there. Qs are actually trying to break out here. So the Qs are trying to break out here. Let's just flip to the QQQ. So the Qs are trying to catch a bid. SPY is basically back, went negative now. SPY is basically back to the negative side. So QQQ, again, fighting this resistance at the top of the wedge, at the top of the neckline. Still hasn't been able to break out yet. But Nat Gas is trying to break out. Our coin, we just went in the money on our coin short there, and it's bouncing off our level, potentially trying to carve out another right shoulder. We will see though. SPY is still looking weak. Still holding my SPY short, still holding AVGO short, still holding a coin short, and a Nat Gas long. Hey, Popcorn on the YouTube channel. I just use simple moving averages, EMA 113 volume, and in terms of my indicators, and then trend lines, and a few other individual strategies. RSI sometimes intraday just to see divergences occur. All right, Nat Gas is moving up tremendously here. So UNG, we're starting to bank on UNG. Watch that closely because that is performing exceptionally well. We could even see Nat Gas UNG fill its gap all the way to the upside. So now what I'm going to do on UNG, since Nat Gas can be a little bit of a wild trade, I'm just going to move a stop loss at 583. It's a hard stop, so just protecting the trade by about 2 cents. Therefore, it technically makes it risk-free. Bitcoin's putting in some consolidation. The dollar is still trying to move higher here off of the lows, potential lower high in place. We're still seeing the Qs fighting that neckline. That falling wedge pattern has not broken yet. Still holding an SPY short, which we're in the money. Still holding a coin short, which we're basically slightly out of the money. Just ever so slightly. All right, let's see what other opportunities we can find here. Nat gas trying to push for a little bit of a new intraday high. Qs are getting rejected at that neckline. Let's see if we fall here, guys. The presumption is to fall. We're still under bear market zone here. Pre-market low. We breached that pre-market low. What shall I do with that? I can't give you any financial advice there, Davik Gaming. But basically, for what I'm doing is I don't hold it. I don't hold any SPY right now. I'm shorting SPY. So that should tell you where my bias is right now. And I'm holding a SPY day trade short. And again, this is a day trade. People, anybody in the stream, I'm just live day trading right now. If you're a swing trader or a long-term investor, don't get spooked out because I think there's some intraday downside. If you're interested in how I'm trading more of a longer term time frame, then that's for my membership model. Unfortunately, I have to save that for my members. But the big thing to watch here for today, if we lose this 454.80 on the SPY, that is the pre-market low. We breach that. We're heading down here to 454 on the charts. And I'm very interested in calling out some potential zero DTEs on SPY. Ooh, look at Nat Gas. Nat Gas is pushing up some more. So nice job on that UNG trade. If you're starting to take that with us, wonderful, wonderful job. Look at this QQQ rejection so far. QQQ is starting to get rejected at this neckline. So that's certainly interesting to watch. We'll see if we will see if it forms a little bit bigger of a right shoulder and then makes a move higher. Getting a bounce now. I'll show you where the SPY is bouncing off of that previous support trend line. So SPY is in a little bit of a wedge pattern. This is a very choppy session to be trading. Very, very choppy. But SPY is just bouncing in this wedge pattern. Now it's looking like it potentially wants to break out of this wedge as the dollar is seeing some weakness yet again. All right, NVDA is seeing some sellers, so is Apple, so is Microsoft. We may see a little bit more of a down leg, but this is a choppy price action day. Super, super choppy. All right, SPY's trying to push up here. Bitcoin softening a little bit. Nat gas is pushing up some more. Qs are getting rejected. But we've banked a lot of winners today. And if you've been able to profit with us, we've closed already a few winners. Microsoft Zero DTEs went in the money, still holding runners there. Beautiful, beautiful trade. We shorted the SPY, we shorted the Qs. We've shorted AVGO, we're long UNG. We played Carvana this morning on the long side, which banked us. So we have closed a substantial amount of winners. We're shorting SPY right now. We're shorting coin, which coin we're slightly out of the money. SPY we're slightly in the money. We're still holding that UNG, which is moving up nicely. Boom, look at that UNG trade. Natural gas is at 296 and climbing. Nat gas is pushing up 297. Let's go, Nat gas. Fuck yeah, man. Let's go. Banking. Come on, UNG. Squeeze. Squeeze higher. Apple's falling some more now. Making some new lows potentially. Microsoft's falling. So here comes the potential rejection and failure in the QQQ. So we are still short SPY here. And if SPY loses that 454.80, you could kiss the market goodbye today. Microsoft's still selling. Apple, again, pushing for new lows on Apple. If Apple makes new lows, SPY is probably going to test that pre-market low. Qs are still getting rejection. We still could come down and form a right shoulder, but this is not a healthy zone. if you fall, you could test the low range of the wedge. I still have it priced in. We should hit this 388.40. If things get really nasty, 388. Maybe if it was a full day, I'd have the downside target. But I'm still anticipating a potential downside move here coming into play. So Qs are trying to bounce here. Microsoft's seeing some buyers step into play. Nat gas is still pushing up. That's good to see. All right, Qs are now coming up again for the neckline break. But remember, Qs are trying to break out of this wedge as the dollar is also trying to break out of its high range. So we're at a little bit of an inflection point here. Whichever one breaks out first is going to send the other lower. So the dollar's again testing that breakout. That's going to hinder the markets if it holds. But if the dollar fails, then the Qs are going to get the breakout of this inverted head and shoulders. But both of them are probably not going to break out. It's going to be one or the other that breaks out. And my money's on the dollar because the dollar's at bigger supports. The indices are more overbought. And then the continuation weakness under pre-market low in the Qs, being the fact that mega caps are weighing in on this market today, leads me to suspect that the dollar is going to be the one that pushes out of its bearish range and pushes higher, which is kind of what we're seeing right now. Tesla, you want me to look at Tesla there? I'll take a peek at Tesla. Tesla's been a strong horse all day today. It's actually the stronger mega cap out of all the mega caps today. Tesla is performing very, very well. It's one of the only mega caps other than the healthcares that are performing well. So let's look at the daily chart first of Tesla. I'll pull that up. So obviously we all know that Tesla had this little left shoulder head, right shoulder neckline break. I still think Tesla retraces lower back to this neckline, fills this gap. I would love to see Tesla fill this gap for a long trade trigger. Tesla's looking constructive, still chopping in a wedge here. You can see the long-term wedge pattern. It hasn't broken out yet, but the range. But we're going to need the markets to firm up. Let's see a day trade long on Tesla because it is the strongest name. So playing relative strength on Tesla is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. All right, Qs are breaking out of that range as well. So I'm just going to flip back to the QQQ because now we do have a range break occurring on the Qs. And it is potentially an interesting one. SPY is still stuck in the wedge, so Qs are starting to firm up here. Qs are starting. The upside of this inverted head and shoulders takes us to 389.89, give or take. But that pre-market low is going to be your big, big resistance. So as the Qs are now moving up, you're seeing weakness creeping into the small caps. All right, this could be a big rejection. That could be a fake out there. The SPY is seeing some sellers now, but you're seeing strength in NVDA coming in, Apple, and Microsoft. Let's see if the Qs get up. Dollar's finding some resistance. Apple's coming in. Qs are finding some resistance there, potentially a failed breakout on the Qs. Remember what happens with failed breakouts. So the Qs potentially have a failed breakout here, inverted head and shoulders failed breakout. That typically means bearish price action. What I want to show you here is the last time we had the failed breakout on the SPY was over here earlier this morning, and then it dumped. And then you've been just chopping in a bearish range, making lower lows. So if the Q or if the Qs fail this breakout here, we could see another dump just like the SPY. But it's a very, very tricky inflection point. Very, very tricky inflection point. You got that 2-minute close above, hammer candle rejection. Now this candle's fighting. You have not confirmed, but it's very, very peculiar and tricky spot. I am seeing the dollar breaking out. So again, I said it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be one or the other that goes. And look, the dollar's trying to actually confirm before the Qs. So the dollar's trying to test this high pivot range break. You got your retest. Hasn't confirmed yet, but it's trying. So if you flip on the Qs are finding that rejection as the dollar is above that little breakout bearish zone. That's a little bit of an additional insight as to where this market's going to be going. And this is shaping up to be potentially a failed breakout. We will see. It's still early. It's still very, very early. Amazon has had a nice move off of the lows, so that's looking a little more constructive. All right, so Qs are being rejected there. This could be technically a failed breakout on the QQQ intraday 2-minute chart. Therefore, downside momentum is favored. Tesla's putting in a potential lower high here. But I am expecting downside. All right, I'm going to short the Qs here, 389.20. Short the Qs, 389.20. Short the Qs, 389.20. Stop loss is going to be a break above this high pivot here. A break and close on the 1-minute chart above that high pivot. But we are short the Qs, we're short the SPY. All right, Nat Gas is still continuing to move, so well done on that trade. Well done. I'm going to actually move some stops up here on the UNG trade just so that we protect the little bit of a profits. But look at that move on UNG. What a nice move. So I'm going to move my stop now to this high range, 585, and leave some runners. Actually, I'm going to move it to this low pivot here, 586. So we're protecting that trade there. Let's flip back to the QQQ. I'm still holding short the SPY, holding short the Qs, shorting Coinbase, shorting AVGO, long UNG. Tesla's starting to fall from the highs just a little bit here. The dollar's moving higher again. We have Tesla up 1.4, NVDA down 1.16, Apple down 0.85, Q's down 0.21, SPY just went negative, Russell's holding up positive, up 1.15. Sorry, 0.53%. Still shorting coin as well. Still shorting coin. I am seeing Nat Gas making a little bit of a new intraday high. So if Nat Gas, the underlying contracts hit $3, I'm going to be taking my profits. Potential head and shoulders here on coin. Potential head and shoulders here on coin. It's only valid once we trigger the neckline. So basically the neckline of this, if we break this upsloping trend line, we could see a move down to 113.50. Let's just throw in a fib retrace of this whole up move today, just to see if this correlates with a potential level. So if we see this bottom of this head and shoulders takes you to the 382 fib retrace. So that is a potential that this could play out. So we'll watch coin very, very closely. Watch coin very, very closely. Let's see how our SPY trade is doing. SPY is trying to push up. Qs are really pushing up again. They are trying to push up. Nat gas is at 298 and climbing. Apple's seeing a big, big high wick here. I still think that SPY is going to come back down to retest this pre-market low. Qs are still fighting that neckline. Seems like a little bit of distribution is happening at these levels. Bitcoin's starting to cool off a little bit as well. Come on, Qs, give it up. Amazon's moving up here, acting well. Amazon turned green, so it flipped red to green. Amazon did flip red to green. All right, SPY is breaking this potential wedge pattern again. Let's see if we get some follow through. Any other questions? Anybody else looking at anything? I just want to take this time, an opportunity to express, if you're struggling in this market, definitely visit my Trading Capital Discord. This next few months in the market is going to be make or break. If you think the last few months were difficult trading, wait till you find out these next few months and what's about to happen. There's going to be some massive, massive moves in this market. Massive opportunities. I mean, technically every day that we get to trade here is a massive opportunity, but there's going to be some high-flying opportunities, that's for sure. All right, Microsoft is breaking out here potentially out of its bearish range. So that's why the Qs are moving up. Really, it's Apple and Microsoft. Now, Microsoft is above its pre-market low, whereas Apple isn't. So that's one thing we have to be careful of when shorting this market. I'm going to put we'll see. I'm still optimistic that the indices head a little bit lower here. Just a little bit. QQQ is trying to break out again. The Qs are trying to break out. Apple's pushing higher here. So now we're seeing a little bit of weakness creeping into the SPY, whereas some money flowing is going into tech, QQQ. So definitely a little bit of a divergence occurring now. Money coming out of the Russell, coming out of the SPY, going into the Qs. And if the Qs remain strong, then you have to assume that the markets can rally. So we'll continue to watch these QQQ trades. But it is trying to break out here. We need to get that confirmation candle. Coin is starting to come down a little bit. Qs are pushing up some more. Dollar has softened. Nat gas is at a new high, so be ready to secure profits on UNG. Be ready to secure profits on UNG. You know what? I'm actually selling my UNG here, the full position. I'm taking profits $5.91. I just exited for 10 cents per share. That is an amazing trade. It's a easy couple $100 there. I had 2,000 shares, long UNG. So I just exited UNG there. Oh, look at this dump on Bitcoin and coin. So coin is starting to break down. Bitcoin is starting to break down. So that's great for our coin short. That is great for our coin short. Head and shoulders neckline is being tested right now. We'll see if it breaks it. If we get that break, look at this. We're close. We're close. We're close to seeing that break. Come on, coin. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. You know you want to. You know you want to. So why coin is struggling here is if you look at BTC USDT, QQQ did get a 2-minute candle confirmation above. My next short level on the Qs is at that pre-market low, 389.60. I'm still holding my short here, but you can see Bitcoin is starting to falter a little bit. If Bitcoin closes the daily chart, I'll show you on the daily chart. Come on, load there. If Bitcoin closes underneath these pivots, that could be a failed breakout on the daily chart. That would not be good for Bitcoin. But right now the Qs are holding up. Everybody. Yeah. So coin is still testing that neckline. We'll see if it breaks down. QQQ. Let's flip to the Qs. So if that head and shoulders is technically valid on coin, it did trigger on the 1 minute. It's about to confirm on the 2 minute. Qs are finding some harsh selling here. We'll see. So now the Qs, if you're bullish, you need to hold this top of this trend line. If you get the back test and hold, then this potential move all the way up to 389.90 is more valid. Coin is selling here. Coin is selling more. Let's go. SPY's breaking down. So now the SPY is creeping in. So the weakness has shifted. The weakness is slowly shifting. I'm seeing capital rotate out of SPY into Qs, out of the Russell into the Qs. That's typically the usual trend we see. Let's watch the S&P 500 here. Qs are still negative on the session. SPY is still negative. Nat gas is pushing up. If you haven't secured profits on Nat gas, good for you. You're still riding a great winner on UNG. Microsoft is pushing up some more. Head and shoulders pattern on Coinbase has triggered intraday. Downside target takes you to that 382 fib retrace. Bitcoin's starting to sell here. Bitcoin's giving up a lot of the gains that it had. So it's putting in that perfect Wyckoff distribution pattern where it does a peekaboo high, new daily high, and then it just starts dumping. Look at this dump on Bitcoin coming in. So this is stellar for our Coinbase short. This is absolute beautiful. Look at this move on Bitcoin coming in, pretty much giving up the whole rally here. Not a healthy move. Big bounce coming in though in crypto. Now are we going to form an intraday head and shoulders? We need to now start curling up and forming a right shoulder here. We will see if that comes to fruition in the crypto market. Coinbase did trigger its head and shoulders. Apple's starting to sell. NVIDIA's seeing more downside. Qs are still holding that breakout potential of the inverted head and shoulders, but now the SPY and the Russell are looking potentially weak. What I'm seeing here in the Russell, let me just show you here on the IWM. Got many screens going. We're nicely in the money on our coin. Basically flat, but the Russell is interesting because the Russell had that wedge pattern where it broke out of, and now you got your first 10-minute close below. If you lose this wedge, you're going to likely trade back down to the low side. But again, there's only 1 hour left in this trading session. Only 1 hour left, and we're seeing the Qs starting to gain some of that momentum that it lost earlier on. But if the Qs are still in that bearish territory, so if the SPY enters bearish territory under pre-market low, expect a late flush in the market. So the one thing that's been saving the Qs is Microsoft. Microsoft is still trending off of its breakout. So that should help the SPY, but there's still a lot of selling that is now occurring under the indices, being the fact that Microsoft is rallying, but the SPY is still trying to fall. Very peculiar and interesting. NVIDIA looks like a short as well, potentially breaking a bearish consolidation zone to the downside. Semis are holding up okay, But will we see a late flush in this market? Time will tell. Potential failure in the IWM. Could be seeing more lower price action. The IWM is technically a short here now, 179.10. I'm not going to do it, but it is technically a short. And then you just use that previous candle high, which is basically, let me just see here, 179 like 22 as your stop. Not financial advice, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin goes negative and ends this daily session with a topping tail. That will be a thing of beauty. Qs are still pushing up. So now it seems, so this is what's blowing my mind, is you're seeing Bitcoin fall and the Qs move up. It's almost like they're shuffling money. I've said this before, out of crypto into the Qs, out of the Qs into crypto. So when Bitcoin's been rallying, the Qs have been falling. When Bitcoin's been falling, the Qs have been rallying. A weird divergence. It makes me think that there's some sort of a Ponzi kind of shuffling money out of crypto into mega caps just to window dress portfolios. Thanksgiving end things on a little bit of a bullish note because Bitcoin is falling pretty sharply here. So we're nicely in the money on our coin. Qs were slightly out of the money. I'm interested in adding to the QQQ short if we tap this pre-market low. SPY, I'm still holding my SPY short, which were in the money. I exited UNG for a beautiful profit. Look at Coinbase. Coinbase is telling us something here, guys. Bitcoin is also telling us something. Coin is falling, trickling lower here. The SPY is struggling a little bit. All right, nice move down coming in on Coinbase. Come on, Coin. Get your butt down there. Get your butt down to target. I will look to take some profits on that day trade at that target zone. Qs are still pushing up. Get ready to add to our QQQ short. Our QQQ short we will add. I'm even tempted here. We're tapping the 2-minute EMA 113, but I think we could get that pre-market tap. I might be waiting a little bit longer here. 389.52 is a big level of resistance on the Qs as well. 389. All right, I'm going to add at 389.52. That's almost there on the Qs. It's 2 cents away. 2 cents away. All right, I just got filled on the Qs there. 389.52 for a second short entry. 389.52. So that brings the average up on the Qs to 389.38. 389.38 average. So we basically tapped it at that 389.52. Let's see if we get a retrace down to this breakout zone down here where I'll look to cover. Still holding my SPY short. Still holding my coin short. Oof, look at Nat Gas go. Nat Gas is pumping here, guys. Nat Gas is pumping. SPY is trying to move up. Strengthen AMD, AVGO trying to turn back to the positive side. You still have the SPY basically flat to negative. Qs are negative. Russell's positive. Yields are positive. VIX is positive. Dollar's negative. Taking off. Thanks for the advice. Fun to watch. Starting to make sense. Happy Thanksgiving. No problem. Liquid Fire. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you on Monday. New week, new money, new profits. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in. Come on, Qs. Fall a little bit more. Same thing with Coinbase. Get ready to secure profits on Coinbase. All right, so we're flat on the Qs. SPY is breaking down again. Let's look at our SPY short. We're in the money nicely. SPY is testing a range break on a wedge pattern here. I've still been harping on SPY testing that pre-market low. I still think we test that pre-market low, but you can see we're bouncing at this wedge. It's a very tight wedge. We're approaching the apex. We're going to get this is squeezing. This is what's called as a squeeze. It's consolidating in this range, this tight range all day, waiting to squeeze. So it could break either way, but when we do get that break, it's going to be pretty big one way or another, in my opinion. But considering the Qs are in bearish territory under pre-market low, considering Apple, a big dump coming in on coin. Here comes the Qs falling. SPY is testing this break here. Is this the break or is this a fake? I think it's a break. We've seen weakness. We're in the money on our Q short. Coin is falling. Yes, let's go. Let's go. Coin, come on. Fuck yeah, man. We're in the money nicely on coin. Booyah, baby. Yes, let's go. Come on, SPY, Qs. Give it up. Give it up. Come on, give it up. Give it up. NVIDIA's curling over to the downside. The only thing that's holding this looks to be Microsoft and Amazon at this point in time. Even oil's starting to sell off now. Come on, Qs. Give it up. I'm looking for a profit taking on the Qs. Oh, come on, SPY. Give it up. IWM's falling. NVIDIA's still falling. Again, if Qs flush into 389 2022, I'm going to cover half the position. Basically, it'll be a retrace back to this lower end. So it'll be about an 18-cent gain per share. So look for that retrace down to this trend line. That's where I'm covering half of the short position. I'm still holding SPY because as the Qs have moved up, SPY has been weaker. So it's a little bit of a relative weakness and strength shifting. I hope everyone's been banking. It's prudent to probably protect Coinbase. Protect your coin. Microsoft's pushing, Apple's falling, Nvidia's falling, Tesla's falling. Net, it's pushing the Qs and the SPY lower. IWM, if you shorted that IWM area, your trade is working out nicely. Your trade is working out nicely if you shorted that IWM area. All right, this is potentially falling for a failed breakout on the Qs here. We are seeing that. All right, Qs are coming down into that target. Target 1 is almost there. So target 1, I'm covering half. If we slice through there, target 2 is a pierce below 389. So get ready to potentially cover. Bitcoin's still trickling a little bit lower. Oh, big bounce there on the Qs. Big bounce on SPY. That might have been a fake out. We could be seeing a big move here. I'm still holding my SPY. We're in the money by about 6 cents. Flat on the Qs, 3 cents in the money. Nvidia's still selling. Microsoft's coming down. Okay, we should see this market fall. Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, they're all selling. This is where we're going to break down here, guys. This is the big break. It's coming. It's coming here. The big boys are selling. Mega caps are selling again. We're seeing more and more pressure coming in. Amazon's still holding up okay, but we are seeing pressure coming into the indices. Get ready to cover. Target 1 on the Qs is almost there. I'm still in. We're bouncing though. Big pump on nat gas. It hit target. Upside head and shoulder. Inverted head and shoulders has been achieved. $3 target has been hit. QQQ's bouncing. Everything's bouncing here. All right, that looked to be a short covering rally squeeze, which should fade. That looked to be a short covering pop there. It should fall lower here. That did not look like a buy, a traditional buy. That looked like a short covering rally. It should continue to fall here. I am seeing the dollar breaking and basing above its bearish range, and the SPY is falling, still holding SPY short. We're banking nicely. Qs were in the money. Coin were in the money. AVGO were in the money. We're in the money on all of our positions. Congrats if you've been banking. Look at this little head and shoulders forming on the 1 minute chart on the Qs. Look at this head and shoulders forming. Break of this flat bottom neckline slices you through the head and shoulders, original inverted head and shoulders neckline, and we could see more downside in the Qs. If the Qs break this flat bottom neckline, we're probably going to 389. Come on, Qs, give it up. Give it up now. Give it up. Give it up now. And again, I run a live trading Discord service. My website is tradingcapital.ca, where I post swing trades, day trades. I track insider buying and selling. I provide daily market analysis videos for my members. And if you can't afford a subscription service right now, follow me on Twitter, where I post free charts, comments, and analysis, where I think the directional trends are heading in the near term, long term, medium term. Basically, I try to help out investors where I can. Nothing is financial advice, but most of the trades and data and information that I put out is how I'm trading this market, how I'm investing. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of just trying to beat the S&P 500 and make sure that you're not a victim to the large Wall Street hedge funds. Look at this breakdown potentially occurring in the Qs. SPY is about 10 cents away from testing pre-market lows. So we're going to see probably a flush here. I'm seeing NVDA starting to sell again. Bitcoin looks like it's coming back down for another form of selling. Come on, Bitcoin, give it up. I just want Bitcoin to fall, crash. I want Bitcoin to crash so that I can buy it at the technical level that I'm looking at. I'm a long-term bull on Bitcoin. I love it, but not at these prices. Not after we've had, what is it? I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of consecutive upside in Bitcoin. Yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. Qs are getting a big bounce, so is Coinbase. SPY is bouncing here. The Russell, the dollar's pushing up here, so this is going to not probably end well for the indices. Take a look at this dollar break. Bearish range, consolidation, breakout. Here's your bearish range. Broke out of this range, consolidated. Now you're doing another higher high. This is going to weigh in on the markets. Just be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. I'm already seeing, watch gold to see if this is a true breakout. Qs are pushing up though. Watch gold. I'm seeing gold still holding. Gold just lost 2,000 an ounce there, so it's starting to push lower on that dollar breakout. So the dollar is falling here. Still watching the Qs for a little bit of a micro head and shoulders on the 1 minute chart. It's a very small time frame. I'm seeing some weakness creep into the semis. Apple putting in more bearish consolidation on the 10-minute chart. Looks like a primed bear flag to break lower. We'll see if we get a little bit of a push. This is a pump, or if we get a fall. This is power hour now, technically speaking, because it's the last hour of trading. This is power hour here. Nat gas is still pushing. If you took that trade with us, wonderful, wonderful job. All right, Qs. Let's see if we can get some downside in the Qs. I want to see that head and shoulders trigger on the 1 minute. SPY is still coming down, but the Russell's pushing up. So now you have the SPY negative, the Q negative, the Russell up by 0.61%. VIX turn negative, which is actually a positive for the market, but the dollar's trying to break out here. The dollar's trying to push higher. which is why oil has pulled back a little bit. Tesla has been the strongest mega cap all day, and it has been pulling back. It's been selling for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. Tesla's been selling for the last 60 minutes. Bigger move coming in the dollar. It is trying to push up some more now. The dollar could actually make a pretty solid move all the way back up to 103.55-ish by today. I would not be surprised. The dollar could climb all the way back up by another 15 cents. If the dollar goes positive in the last hour here, that's going to be a pretty telling sign, in my opinion, as to where the influx of money has gone. But the Qs are still holding. Still short the Qs, still short the SPYs. Qs are under pre-market low. SPY is above pre-market low, but putting in a potential bearish wedge of consolidation. But markets are looking constructive. Microsoft trying to move higher here, finding resistance at the 2-minute EMA 113. Still worried about Apple's bearish price action. That 10-minute chart is looking pretty horrific on Apple. You still have some of the leading semiconductors like AVGO negative on the session. NVDA is still down quite substantially. Qs are still fighting. Yields are positive. The 10-year's up 1.59, 2-year's up 1.12. So you're starting to see the distance close in. Thank you for the coffee. So we're starting to see the distance potentially close in from the 10 and the 2-year yield. Watch that spread between the 10 and the 2s, because once that spread uninverts, where you have the 10-year yield climb higher than the short end yield, the 2-year yield, that's when the major indices likely see a bigger sell side signal from the bond market. And we're very close to doing that. You have a 47 basis point inversion, 0.47 bips. You could see that erased in one trading session. All right, NVIDIA triggering a potential bear flag on the 1 and 2 minute chart. Qs are still fighting that bigger inverted head and shoulders, but still seeing some resistance. And dollars softening, pulling back, SPYs moving up, Qs are moving up. Nat gas is at that $3 target that we warned you about. Microsoft's breaking a bull flag pattern here. SPY is tapping our short level at 455.08. Still a small position. Qs, we have a half position in the Qs, which I'm still holding. Big rejection coming in there. Still holding short on coin, Qs, SPY, AVGO. Day trades. These are day trades, people. What a tight range, though. If you look at the 10-minute chart on the SPY, where we've been trading since Wednesday till now, what a tight range. What a tight range. Let me just show you this 10-minute range. It's coiling. It's going to be a big move. It's going to be a big move. One way or another. There's going to be a big move. I mean, if you just look at this range that we've traded in. Look at this range since Wednesday. Been stuck in this range. You know, from the low basically here, 454.70 to a high today. Just coiling for a big directional move. All right, so now Microsoft is seeing a little bit of selling. Just a tiny bit. Now it's pushing up. Lots of wonky price action. So if you're needing extra help, definitely check out tradingcapital.ca. I run a Discord trading service for swing trades, day trades. I post live alerts to my members, daily analysis videos, weekly sector reviews. I track insider buying and selling of importance. For instance, last week and this week, we've seen selling from Amazon CEO. We've seen a little bit of insider selling from Apple insiders. All right, so the dollar's trying to make another move higher here, which means what? Likely means it pushes the indices down. I'm really curious to see how this Bitcoin daily candle ends in about 6 hours. It's going to be super, super intriguing in my opinion. If this is a failed breakout on Bitcoin, that's going to be it's probably going to mark a pretty big move down coming. All right, Qs are pushing up. Qs are pushing up here. SPY is trying to push up. Strength from the mega caps coming into play. I have a lot more green from the mega caps on my watch list here, but still some key names like Berkshire Hathaway negative, AVGO negative, Oracle negative, AMD negative. So it's mainly in the tech space. So we have 45 minutes left. It's an early trading. Reminder, there's still a little micro head and shoulders on the 1 minute chart. We break this neckline, you head down to 389. Then you have this other head and shoulders that triggered. Upside target takes you to 389.88. However, I've been bearish all day on the Qs and the indices because we're under pre-market low on the Qs. We shorted it up here earlier on, rode it all the way down. We've had a nice big terrific bounce, and now we're shorting the Qs again. We closed UNG natural gas trade for a beautiful profit. We closed our Microsoft puts, which went in the money. We had 0 DTEs. We took it from 377 and a quarter down to 376 0 DTEs, a whole $1.25 drop, which went in the money. We're holding our coin short. We're still holding a SPY short, and we're picking on some of the semiconductors. Let's see if we get a downside flush. IWM's moving up. The Dixie's moving up. All right, so now NVIDIA's trying to curl to the high side. Tesla's coming down. Apple's curling up. Amazon's curling up. QQQ curling up again, testing that high pivot zone. If you get it closed above this area, you negate the little micro head and shoulders. Hard rejection candle on the 1 minute chart there on the Qs. We'll see if that surmounts to anything. Again, Apple's still putting in bearish consolidation. So is NVIDIA. Tesla's been selling. The only thing that's propping this up is Microsoft right now and Amazon. They have been moving up off of the lows. SPY flipped back to the positive side. I wouldn't be surprised if the markets just really close here. We have been putting in a squeeze of consolidation. All right, so big push up in Apple and NVDA. That's going to help the market. This could be a short covering pop since Apple's been weak all day. The volume on these pops haven't been too heavy, so we still have to remain slightly skeptical. Apple's pushing, Microsoft and NVIDIA is still selling. Qs are still getting hit here, still the potential head and shoulders on that 1 minute chart. Watch for that trigger. That's a nasty little right shoulder rejection. A couple engulfing candles. Could head a little bit lower. NVIDIA's breaking a bear flag here. So this is where the sentiment in the semis is exceptionally weak here. NVIDIA's looking poised to make a new low of day. It looks like NVIDIA wants to make a new low of day. Look at this pattern. You know, it's just teetering here on a knife edge. But NVIDIA is looking like it wants to take out this low. And believe it or not, NVIDIA in the pre-market was trading all the way down to 475.16. You know, all the way down around here in the pre-market. So that's a big range that it still could fall. Now you're seeing some heavy volume on the 1 minute chart there. That's a little bit of a positive for the markets to kind of find a little bit of a local bottom there on the Qs. But just be mindful that NVIDIA is putting in bearish consolidation on the shorter term time frames to move lower. SPY is trying to push up here. Q is still in that bearish territory under pre-market low. You could be putting in a bearish rising wedge on the Qs. We have now 40 minutes left in the trading session. I repeat, 40 minutes left. This is a shortened half day. So just understand that this is a shortened half day, which means that in the last like 30 minutes, we could see some exceptional volatility. I'm still leaning bearish. I'm still holding my SPY short. I'm still holding my QQQ short. I'm still holding my coin short, which were basically in the money on all of the trades. And I'm still holding an AVGO short. In terms of some of the biggest movers, you've had strength in crypto like Mara, Tesla. Mara's up 3.4. Coinbase was up nicely. But Bitcoin has pulled in from the highs, potentially a failed breakout. And look at this bigger move candle coming down in the Qs. That's being led by Microsoft. Microsoft's being rejected at the EMA 113. Microsoft did break out of an inverted head and shoulders on the 2 minute chart. A retrace would put you right back to 376, which would be a pretty big fall, about a 50-cent fall. Coin is still up 5 point, where am I here? Where is it on my screen? 5.66%. Head and shoulders on coin has triggered intraday. All right, Qs are coming down now. Big level here on the Qs. Testing the neckline. This is a head and shoulders. We're triggering it. We are triggering it. We are triggering that head and shoulders. Let's take a quick downside calculation. Now, a lot of people are going to be waiting at this breakout zone. I don't like it because we put in bearish consolidation. But the Qs are hitting support here. This is a retest. Retest. SPY is trying to go down to the pre-market low, 9 cents away. It is 9 cents away. Come on, Qs, break this level. Break it. Oh, you see, finding buyers off of that support level. Our plan was to cover, but I think we go lower here because we have triggered this, and this is all consolidation above that level. VIX is trying to get a pop. Dollar's trying to get a pop. Big volume coming in on the SPY, so huge 1 minute volume to the downside. That means it's a bearish break. We're going to probably test that pre-market low on the SPY. Get ready to cover. Get ready to cover some of our Qs. I'm covering some of our Qs right around this pivot here. I'm going to cover half if we hit this 389.11, okay? SPY, we're in the money. AVGO, we're in the money. Coin, we're flat. Qs, we're in the money. Let's go. Come on. Fall, 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 fall. We're watching this market. I've been prepping you, holding your hand through this process. That 1 minute head and shoulders on the Qs has triggered. Downside takes you to 389. It's a nice whole number. It makes very, very logical sense for this to play out since it's a nice whole number as well. AVGO is falling some more. Bitcoin's trying to move up. Microsoft, Apple still selling. We're still wicking off this level. Get ready. We could see a quick flush. I've given you the parameters of where I'm covering half the trade, and then I'm leaving the other half to run, okay? So get ready on the Qs. I'm still holding a SPY short, a Q short, a coin short, and an AVGO short. 4 shorts on this market intraday. Come on, get us a little break of this area. Buyers are sucking in. Weak volume coming in off this area. Weak volume. So notice the sell candle volume was heavy. The buy candle volume is weak. That's telling us bears are slightly in control in the near term. This should break down some more. This should break down. Apple's seeing some sellers. Come on. Break down. Break down for us. Qs are bouncing here. Finding some buyers are stepping in here. Buyers are stepping in. Big bounce coming in Microsoft and NVDA. Qs are right back up to the high side. So therefore we're negating this head and shoulders with the close above this in 10 seconds or 14 seconds we'll know. So that head and shoulders has been negated. Doesn't mean we can't go lower. We're still under that pre-market low. And you potentially put in a lower high. Here's your high, lower high. We'll see if we can take this high out. But this is still technically bearish right now until you take out these highs and get a close above this pre-market low. But we are bouncing. The range continues. We've just been trading and chopping in a range. If you've been in options, you've just been getting demolished on the theta burn and the decay. We are seeing Bitcoin starting to climb up a little bit. And this is going to be a super interesting market analysis video for my members this week. There's going to be lots to discuss across all the different sectors and the indices, some individual names, what I'm observing. There's a lot of interesting aspects to this market that are unfolding right before our eyes. So if any of my members are here, definitely stay tuned this weekend. It's going to be a juicy video that I will be releasing in the Discord chat. I also will be covering all of the major sectors of the S&P 500. So you don't want to miss out on this week's video. It will be pretty impressive as to what is going on in this market. All right, so we're seeing the Qs bouncing up here. We need to see the Qs make a little bit of a higher high, preferably close above 389.61. If it can do that, there's some legs all the way up to about, what was the target again? This target up here, 389.90. All right, you can see the seller. So another potential lower high. And look at that volume. Look at the sell volume coming in versus look at the buy volume. Potential engulfing on the 1 minute. SPY right back down. SPY right back down. VIX is still negative, so they are crushing the VIX, but they're also selling this market. So it's very difficult. It's not that easy just to short and pick a VIX or pick volatility. I am seeing AVGO breaking down again, so that's the leading SMH semiconductor. But Microsoft's trying to move up. Tesla's trying to move up. Apple's pushing down, losing some of the key moving averages. Tesla's looking nice though for a long trade. At least up to, at least back up to that double top around 244, 243.50. But it's really going to be depending on the markets. If the market, the Qs and the SPY sell off, then Tesla is going to fall likely. But it's been holding up nicely today. Tesla is one of the mega caps positive along with Amazon. So consumer discretionary stocks are holding positive when it seems that the rest of the mega caps are selling. All right, rejection on the Qs there. So Qs are now coming back down. They made that lower high. Still haven't made a lower low, creating a wedge pattern. That wedge is just coiling. The power and momentum that is occurring inside the wedge pattern of the SPY is just incredible. That SPY wedge, I'm still holding my SPY short. I'm still holding my Q short. I'm still holding AVGO short. I'm seeing AVGO continuing to sell. It's a market leader, so pay attention to those market leaders. Look at this little mini head and shoulders on SPY triggering left shoulder, head, right shoulder. You break this little neckline, you're going to take out that pre-market low. Take a look at that. We've been chopping in this wedge pattern all freaking day. Oh, SPY's breaking here, guys. Here we go. Here we go. Here it comes. Test that pre-market low. If we get that close, get ready to pull some profits on SPY. We've just been stuck in this wedge, though. We've been stuck in this wedge. Come on, break it down. Drop it low. Drop it low. SPY's still hovering. So if this candle closes above this neckline here, we will remove this little upsloping neckline trend line. We'll know in 30 seconds. Let's see what type of close we get on the SPY. Still holding above pre-market low. If we lose this area, we could see a late 30-minute flusher in this market. Don't be surprised. If we lose that pre-market low, we could see a flusher in the market. All right, our Coinbase is now selling off even more. That's good for our short. AVGO is bouncing a little bit. Microsoft selling, putting in the potential sell signal on the 2-minute chart. Apple's holding, but putting in bearish consolidation. SPY bounced off of that level. Therefore, this neckline is negated. You're still trading in that wedge pattern. What a wedge pattern that is. Let's look at the QQQ here. NVIDIA's coming down some more. Qs are starting to fall a little bit more as well. Qs did put in that lower high, but you're consolidating. And this is negated since we got to close back above. But you're consolidating above this little inverted head and shoulders neckline. If you lose this neckline, we could see that flush. Coins coming down more now. Dollar stalling at these levels, 103.45. VIX is still negative on the session. Yields are positive. Gold's back above 2,000. Qs are coming right back down here. Still holding my Q and SPY short. Come on. I want that late minute flush. What do we think is going to happen? Are we going to get a late minute flush? I think we may get a late minute flush. Something's going to happen. If we just stay range bound, that's going to be disappointing for the trades. I mean, we're still in the money, but I'd love to see a big directional move. I'd love to see a big directional move. Come on, baby. One little stock I like on the long side, and this is not financial advice, I have been accumulating this genetic technologies. This is super risky, high speculative. Please don't go full port. I have a very small allocation, but I am accumulating this GENE on the long side. It's a microcap, small penny stock, but it is looking like it could move a little bit higher. But definitely use portfolio management. It looks like it's putting in bearish consolidation, but I am seeing a little bit of a positive divergence forming on the RSI. On the weekly chart, it is putting in a potential falling wedge pattern with yet again another positive higher low weekly RSI divergence. That's a little bit of a gem there. All right, we'll flip back to the Qs. Qs got a small bounce there. On the daily, you can see how elevated we still are. RSI is falling slightly, still above this major pivot zone. Russell's moving higher here. SPY's moving higher here. Dollar is falling again. All right, there is another potential head and shoulders forming on the Qs here. Now you draw the neckline like this, and you have your head and shoulders targets like this, and then this is your right shoulder formation. So you trigger this neckline, and now you have an even bigger move, and this would actually make a lot of sense. This type of move would almost put you back to the retrace of that falling wedge pattern that we were trading in. Falling wedge kind of broke out. Often you retrace back down to the falling wedge. Let's see though, but only entertain this pattern once we get a break of this neckline. I'm still holding my Q short. We're basically flat on it. Still holding my SPY short, basically slightly in the money. Holding coin short. Bitcoin's trying to push higher here. Oil's weakened. Dollar softened a little bit, which is why the indices have bounced. All right, so the Qs are still consolidating. SPY is still holding above pre-market low. Qs are still below pre-market low. SPY's flat. Qs slightly negative. The IWM positive. Yields are closing up on the session nicely. Microsoft selling, Apple selling, Tesla selling. Watch out for that Qs whenever you see those two stocks. And if Apple triggers this 10-minute bear flag range, we could see a sharp move down. All right, there's a big down candle in Microsoft, which is why the Qs are falling. Big down move in Microsoft. Coin is pushing up. AVGO, the leading semiconductor, breaking down here. Watch for more continuation weakness in the Qs. Often when AVGO falls, it's going to drag the SMH down, which is a broad component of the Qs. Big bounce though in AVGO. Nice little bounce. Right back up. Now the opposite is true. Watch for QQQ upside if AVGO bounces. Big push up there on Coinbase. Qs are trying to push up. Coin's back above 116, retracing to the neckline of its intraday head and shoulders pattern. Bitcoin could be forming a 10-minute head and shoulders pattern. You're still carving out a right shoulder. NVDA down 1.5%. Apple down 0.89%. Qs are down 0.18%. SPY is at 455, flat on the session. Amazon's up 0.06%, 9 cents on the day. You have some strength in some Chinese stocks. HKD. Whoa, let's take a look at this HKD. This could be a squeezy name. I didn't see it up 19.6%. Whoa. HKD. What is going on with HKD? I did not see this move today. Holy, all the way up to 571. It's still up 19%. But this one could be a, wow, squeezer. Heavy volume, 6.5 million shares traded. Very interesting. Let me see the weekly candle formation on HKD. If it's forming any sort of a bottom here. Trying to get a crossover of the RSI there. Still in a major bearish sentiment territory, but this is that one, that high flyer, right? Nice volume influx. Keep this one on your radar the coming next week. Keep it on your radar. This could be a little bit of a local low in HKD. I mean, I could see this one retesting in between this range, this 841, 745 range. I could see that retesting. All right, so you have the SPY trying to break out here. Apple's pushing higher. So SPY is trying to break out. It's still just hovering. Q's, SPY's trying to push up. Q's are seeing sellers. So it's an interesting little shuffle rotation of liquidity out of mega caps into SPY, out of SPY into Q's. But they really haven't both participated simultaneously. I am seeing Microsoft seeing some more sellers. Apple, Tesla's still selling. NVDA's still testing. Looks like it wants to break that low of day. I'll be surprised if NVIDIA doesn't come down a little bit more today off of the weakness of AVGO. Here comes QQQ falling some more. Whoops, I should put my... Sorry about that. I had the daily chart time frame on. So Q is testing the neckline of this head and shoulders. What did we warn you about? We're still holding our QQQ short here. We are still holding for two. So Qs, watch out for that QQQ downside. It's been teetering on these necklines all day. NVIDIA just made a new low of day. NVIDIA did just make a new low of day. Qs are bouncing off that area. Just doesn't want to give up this range. It's been trying all day. Higher lows though on the Qs. Higher lows on the SPYs, but you also have lower highs. So a bearish wedge could be developing, which is why I'm still holding short. I'm still holding new lows on NVIDIA. Heavy dump there. Big 2-minute red bar down candle on volume. Expect more downside. That might be the sentiment change in the market. We just need to see either Apple or Microsoft break down. But NVIDIA is trending lower. Now down on the session 1.72%. NVIDIA is looking like it wants to test that low on Wednesday. Tesla's falling. So here comes the Q downside. We're still holding short the Qs. We have 18 minutes left in the session. Let's see if we can get a big move down. Come on, people. Give us a Thanksgiving present here. I want to see this Q break this. We're still holding short. We're holding SPY short, Q short, coin short, AVGO short. Come on, give it to us. Please give it to us. Give us the break. Give us the break. Come on. What do we think we're going to get here? What's the sentiment? What is the sentiment? Qs are right on that neckline. There's the break. Neckline has triggered. Neckline has triggered. Come on, baby. Flush it. Flush it. Give us the flush. Give us the flush. Come on, baby. Break it. Break it. Break it. Break it. 388.82 downside is in play. Come on. Come on, Qs. Flush it. Come on. Flush it. Flush this market. We want to bank. We are going to bank on these Qs. Come on, Qs. Hold it. Flush it. 388.82. All right, so I'm looking for a cover on my Qs. If we head into this pivot zone here, this is a whole bunch of chop. You can see you had your big breakdown, retest, here resistance, failure, pullback, and then consolidation before your bigger move. Oh, look at this wick. Oh my God. Wow. This price action is just incredible. I'm telling you. Microsoft's breaking, Tesla's breaking, NVIDIA's still selling. Come on, Qs. Fall, fall, fall. Drop it low. Drop it low. Come on, drop it low. Here comes the Qs. We're printing. We're fucking printing. Let's go. Come on. Sell it. Sell this bitch. Come on. Let's go, man. Come on. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it. Big breakdown. Big breakdown. Come on. It's probably wise to scale, but I'm going to hold. I'm going to see if we get a really nasty flush. Open up that trap door. Open it up and flush it. Flush those dollars into our investing accounts. Come on, baby. We have been holding this short. I told you there was a big move coming. We were squeezing. We were consolidating in a wedge. SPY just needs to lose pre-market low. It's been hovering, and it's tested that area now 3 times today. Come on, SPY. NVIDIA new lows. Tesla's breaking down. Come on, baby. Come on down. Come on, come on, come on. ABGO, we're in the money. Qs, we're in the money. SPY, we're in the money. SPY is getting a bounce here, though. SPY is getting a bounce, but I'm still seeing weakness. Heavy weakness coming into NVIDIA. Heavy volume on the 2-minute chart. Come on, Qs. You know you want lower. I'm seeing SMPS, another market leader, selling off. AVGO still weak. AMD's even coming down. Come on, give it to us. The SOXX is still positive despite NVIDIA and AVGO losing momentum. Coin is seeing some selling. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We want to bank. We want to bank. Come on. Potential bear flag. Give us that bear flag break. I want to see a little bit lower. SPY's negative. Q's negative. Russell positive. Oh, big bounce in the SPY. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Short covering or what? But we have triggered that head and shoulders. You could get a retrace. Let's see if we get more downside. I'm being greedy here because it's Thanksgiving. You could have secured profits, but I'm being greedy. We've already closed several winners today on this shortened trading session. So please, if you haven't, check out my tradingcapital.ca Discord where I post daily analysis videos for my members. This member analysis video is going to be freaking juicy this weekend. Lots to discuss, lots of price action to digest, analyze, and unfold as we head into the new week. But that was a big bounce in the Qs. You've now retested. So this lower intraday head and shoulders has failed because you closed back below this neckline. Now you're retesting this neckline. Will it fail this head and shoulders? If we get a close back above, it will. But so far, it's still technically valid. Up at this point, SPY is pushing up. SPY is getting a big boost here. So you're still seeing some weakness across the QQQs, but SPY is pushing up. Oh, big push on the SPY ETF coming in here. Big push on SPY. Apple's curling, Microsoft's curling, NVIDIA's trying to find some more buyers. Still finding some resistance at this neckline. It's a big, big level. Will we close above it in 8 seconds? Right now you're above it, you're above it, you're below it, you're above it. Oh, that could go either way. That's too close. That is way too close. We need to wait for the next candle development to see. That one did not get a clear confirmed close above. As of now, it's rejecting. The SPY is still holding. SPY is still holding. It's back to the positive side. Come on, give us a late flush here. 12 minutes left in the session. 12 minutes left in the session, people. What the heck is this chat? Someone's putting in some crazy friggin' stunning life. What are you trading here? What are you doing? What are you putting in the chat there? Am I gonna have to mute you here? All right, so Qs are still fighting that neckline there. Still fighting. We have 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left in this. I'm seeing Tesla weaken. Tesla's been the strongest mega cap. That's typically never good for the indices when the strong leader of the day starts to falter. But again, SPY, we're still holding short Qs. We're still holding short AVGOs, coming back down. Get a little bit more selling coming into Apple. Same thing with NVDA. Come on, baby. Give it to us. Give it to us. Come on, Qs. Drop it. Drop it low. So rejection at that neckline. This pattern is still valid. Still valid. Come on, give it to us. Big drop coming in here on the SPY as well. The Qs. I just saw a hard candle down on Apple. Tesla's falling sharply here, guys. Watch Tesla. Wow, what a pop on the Qs there. Big volume coming in. Last 10 minutes here. What are the market makers going to do? They're going to give everyone a little bit of a green Thanksgiving shoot. Big pop on AVGO there. AVGO did pop to the high side, but met with sellers instantly. Wow, that was a huge candle. Huge candle. Jeez, it's amazing how these move. All right, SPY's moving up. QQQ, I'm putting a break-even stop loss on the Qs, so we're protecting our QQQ short just because we don't have much time. I still think we head lower. Come on, flush it. I'm seeing NVIDIA, Tesla still weaken. Red candle forming on Microsoft. Come on down, Qs. So break-even stop loss on the QQQ. Trade is risk-free. SPY, I don't have a stop loss yet. I just want to see a big flush on the SPY. Get ready to cover. If the SPY has a big red candle down through that pre-market low at 454.80, we're going to cover. Even if the Qs get above this neckline, I may look for a cover. We have 9 minutes left. The dollar has softened quite substantially. NVIDIA is coming back down. Tesla's coming back down, but Apple's holding. Microsoft's holding. Amazon's now selling. Bitcoin's really just hovering, but coin is starting to push up. IWM's moving up. SPY's back to the negative side, down 2 pennies. 88 cents down on the Qs. Meta's down 1%. Google's down 1.3. Amazon's back to the negative side. All right, SPY's coming back down here. We still never got that downside target achieved on the Qs. Believe it or not, we could see an 8-minute flush down to that target. All right, I just moved a stop on the Qs to 389.28. So we're protecting that trade by 10 cents in the money. 389.28. And I'm going to put a, because it's late in the session here, I'm going to put a break-even stop loss on the SPY. So our SPY short is at 455.08. So I'm putting a break-even stop loss on the SPY. 455.08. Okay? So those trades are risk-free. Still hoping for, I'm holding coin overnight as a swing short. I am holding coin over the weekend. I feel like they're going to do Bitcoin dirty. Almost like it's breaking out here on this Friday, and then they may dump it over the weekend. And then that's where they catch all of this extra liquidity in Mara, Coin, Hut, all these other miners. They're strong on the day, trading huge volume. And you look at Mara. Mara's up to 40 million shares today. That's a huge, huge amount of volume on Mara. Riot's up there today on the volume list, 16.17 million. Coin is trading a decent amount of volume, so kind of suspect of this crypto move, in my opinion. All right, so Apple's pushing, Microsoft's pushing. Qs may stop us out, so be ready. SPY, we have a break even. Qs, we have an in the money. Qs are trying to push up. Still see weakness in Tesla, weakness in NVDA, strength in Microsoft, strength in Apple. So they're now using the two big boys to hide some of the selling in the smaller mega caps. Amazon got a big bounce. I'm looking for a 1 minute close above this area to stop me out. Oh, there it was. That was the stop on the QQQ. We stopped out on SPY. What a move. Holy moly, what a move there. What a move. So we got stopped out there. Out of all of those shorts there, we got stopped out of the Qs. We got stopped out of the SPYs. SPY was break even. Q slightly in the money on that trade. But the markets are ripping higher now. Whoa. What a rip. What a rip on the Qs. I almost wanted to short that pop because it's probably going to come in flush now. Typically when you see that big of a move, that's a short covering move. That's why we had those stops late in the session. I was kind of worried about that little bit of a pop, which is why we put that stop loss in, and as well as on the SPY. So both indices had a huge pop. Now, will we create another lower high here? You can see we're still fighting this lower high status. Look at the resistance where we're at. That's a short area again. But since it's so late, we covered break even. So epic trading job today. We're still have a net short bias. Still holding a couple key things with my members. I'm still holding my Coinbase short overnight. I think that one's very, very extended on the daily chart and likely going to see a couple dollar pullback, probably to about 110 at the minimum. And if Bitcoin starts to falter here with a failed breakout on the daily, we won't know if it's a failed breakout on the daily up until the markets are closed. So that's what makes me suspect, is they run Bitcoin up as if it's breaking out on the daily, making a little bit of a new cycle high, and then they could dump it on the weekend, catching all that extra liquidity in the crypto stocks. SPY pushing up here. So the SPY is pushing up. Qs are still putting in that lower high status, but a big jump on the SPY ETF there. NVIDIA is starting to sell, so Microsoft's rallying, NVIDIA is selling. NVIDIA is selling despite making new lows. They're selling NVIDIA here into the close despite the Qs and the SPY pushing up. That's an interesting thing seeing in the semis. Look at NVIDIA sell, making new lows as the SPY is making new highs. We have not seen that divergence for quite a long time. We have not seen that divergence in NVIDIA for quite a long time. NVIDIA is usually the power horse standout stock, but NVIDIA is dumping into the close here as the SPY is rallying, as the Qs are rallying. So that's not a good sign if you're holding NVDA long. That's certainly not a good sign. NVIDIA now down on the session almost 2%. So massive move down on NVIDIA despite the SPY breaking higher here and despite the Qs. So Qs are still putting in lower highs. We'll see if NVIDIA selling stops. New lows on NVIDIA, 477.47. We have now 3 minutes left, and this just seemed to be like a short covering pop. So SPY is really tagging this trend line here. NVIDIA is trying to bounce. Microsoft had a big bounce. Qs still lower highs are in place. Lower highs are still in place on the Qs. Has not changed. But we have 2 minutes left till the close. But look at that move on the SPY. That was incredible. I knew there was going to be a big move. That's why we put stops in place. I personally thought it was going to be a flusher to the downside. But net negative, SPY's up 17 cents. Qs are still negative today. Look at the Qs still putting in lower highs here. Look at this lower high. That's a big rejection. This is a short here at this area on the Qs. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. And honestly, that pop there, that late in the session pop, is exactly why sometimes you need to know market structure and dynamics and the importance of using stop loss and protecting the trade. That's the exact reason. So will Q's close in 40 seconds with a little bit of a higher low, or sorry, a higher high? Right now it's being rejected, but SPY is moving up sharply here. SPY is breaking out here, moving up sharply, but Qs are not performing. Coins coming down. Strength in some semiconductors. Tesla's still selling off of that pop. So you have NVIDIA still making new lows, Tesla making new lows despite the S&P moving up. So it's really just a movement from Microsoft and what appears to be a little bit of Apple. Big dump there. All right, so a little bit of a higher high. Will we get that close above? It looks to be. We did get that higher high close there on the market, but you're coming down slightly in the pre-market. Still never took out that high, but nevertheless, a nice little bullish close in the market. Whether or not that was just short covering, it's still interesting to see tons and tons of weakness in the major indices from the likes of NVIDIA down 1.96%, Apple down 0.7%. So the SPY did close positive, up 27 cents on the session. The Russell closed up $1.20 on the session. The QQQ closed negative, down 58 cents on the session. Basically, it was a negative day for the mega cap tech. Small caps did positively well today. Some weakness across some of the semiconductors like NVIDIA, but nevertheless, markets still traded in a tight range. There wasn't that much downside. Majority of the selling were in some individual names. On that note, thank you all for tuning in. Please give this video a big like down below. If you're interested in the video, the exclusive video that I will be releasing for my members, you'll have to sign up for my Trading Capital Discord. But today was a super positive day. To recap things, we closed 2 QQQ shorts for a win. We closed one S&P short for a win. We closed a lovely trade on natural gas via UNG for a win. We closed a long trade on Carvana for a win. We closed one coin short for a loss. We have another swing short on coin holding overnight. We also closed a short on NVIDIA. And we closed, I believe, what was the other one? I think that was it. I think those are the trades. But net, one loser and a whole bunch of winners. That is a positive Friday session. So I'm going to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. If you're eating turkey, gobble, gobble. If not, enjoy the rest of whatever you will be eating. Take a break from the screens. It's a nice weather, at least where I am here. And enjoy some time outside. Try to ground yourself and be ready for the next trading sessions because it's going to be wild next week. I think the fact that OpEx is out of the way, the fact that we've had NVIDIA earnings, the fact that we've had some inflationary data. As we approach the end of the month, there might be some window dressing, but stay tuned for more market action because it's going to be certainly wild. And don't miss my exclusive member analysis video. I will be working it over on this today, refining it Saturday, but I may release it Saturday, maybe Sunday, but lots to discuss as we move forward. Take care, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And if you banked, please like this stream today and share it. And give me a follow on Twitter. Trading One Capital is my handle where I post free charts analysis. And definitely check out my website and give me a like here and a follow. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the charts a bit later.